Live from Brandon's dining room?
This is technically a dining room.
Okay.
But now, since I've moved in, it's become a nude room. And because it's got the big picture window, and we don't have curtains. So
Well, yeah. I mean,
I spend a good 6 hours crossing and uncrossing my legs in front of the window.
that's why I don't see the neighbor kids on bikes anymore.
No, they're not allowed outside. There's this funny law where as long as you're in the house, you can do whatever you want. It's their fault for looking in your window.
That's not true in every state.
Not in every state, just the good one.
Thanks, Brandon. Now I have to edit that out.
No, I bet. Is it really loud to you, or is my volume just cranked? Which one am I? Because this is loud.
What?
That.
Eh.
So is this me? Hello?
No,
Hello?
that was me.
How's that?
Ah.
How about now?
No.
No. Yeah. Now? Ah! Yeah, I think we're recording super loud.
No, we're not.
Okay.
You're just hearing it really.
Okay.
What are you doing?
What do you mean?
You know we're recording, right?
Sweet. It's no more than 10 seconds of each song.
Oh my god, if you're like that fucking DJ.
I'm now searching Tears for Fears 6-hour remix.
Oh my god.
Don't do this to me. Lance Becker requested to be my friend.
What? I don't believe that, sir.
Declined. Hello, welcome to Learn to Wargame's audio podcast. I am Brandon, and I am basically quitting Khador at this point. And this is episode 16.
This is Max. I lurk on the forums and play Cricks usually.
This is Jeremy. I go by Lord Fool on the forums. And when I do play, I play Magnus.
Nice. I actually saw you get your models out at
I've seen Severius.
Feast of Blades.
I think I played him once.
Mm-hmm. And joining us via Skype is...
Lance, play Khador, and I think Brandon stole my thunder by talking about dropping out of him, you son of a bitch.
It's just the time to quit, let's be honest. They're terrible.
Everybody should just leave the faction right now.
I like how all week I was like telling you how you should keep playing them because they're good, and they're like, we're quitting. It's game over.
It's a news exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
L2 Wargame scoop.
Yeah. Khador's
Brandon
bad.
and Lance are quitting Khador.
Yeah, L2 not Khador.
And coincidentally, we're going to talk about Khador.
Yeah, we're gonna... because
Well, son of a bitch, guys.
the primary concept I had was I actually do want to change factions, not because I don't like Khador, because I've played them for about a year and a half now, and I have 5 factions, so I might as well play the other ones at some point. Unlike Tom Guan said, I'm not going to just throw them in the trash.
He told you
just
to
asked
throw
me
him in
that
the
exact
trash.
question when we started.
Yeah, he's like, you just throw those away. You have other models you can play with. I was like, awesome, thanks, Tom. He's like, play anything else. It's all good. It's like, thanks,
Nice
Tom.
to give you permission.
Yeah. He was just sitting next to me in Master. He's like, why are you doing this? I was like, great.
Why are you hurting yourself? Stop punching yourself in the face.
He's like, you could do so well, just don't play Khador.
He is not the only high-level player to tell me that exact thing, so...
Right,
there.
and that's precisely what I want to talk about today, was because there's so much good in Khador, and I want people to understand why people say they're bad. And I think...
Zerkova.
Yeah, it's not mutually exclusive to say that you have all these good things and you're bad. That there's a reason why. It's not that they're unplayable. They're obviously a good faction. So this
You
is...
don't know what else to spend that 1 point on when you take the ward off.
Yeah, it just throws your points off.
Reinhold, I guess? Or
No, now-
Tinker's,
yeah,
the
now-
Tinker's good now.
Now that they gave us the Tinker, there's definitely that rounded out point.
You
Or that one
gotta
jack
reload
that
the
we
butcher, the
Yeah.
blunderbuss that nobody knows he has.
Hey, I love that thing on Butcher, too. That's the
Oh, yeah.
best way to get Converge Rage ever.
Exactly. So since I've been playing them for about a year and a half now, I'm basically going to give a summary on what I think I have learned and what Lance has collectively learned with me over the time we've played Khador, and then give our honest opinion on that, and then we can look forward to other factions or just continuing in Khador.
That's fine.
First thing I wanted to talk about was either a 2-list or a 3-list pair. I think that Khador as a faction dramatically changes when you get to a 3-list.
I have not played in a 3-list tournament, but just theory crafting it and dojoing, I would 100% agree with that statement.
So, for instance, the last event we both went to was Feast of Blades. My original 2-list pair going in was Butcher 3, Sorsha 2, which I thought was one of the best ways you can cover the whole field in Khador, which is 2 casters.
in this meta right now, I'm going to probably agree with you.
Because both of them can break armor, which is the flavor of the month, and then both of them can deal with infantry acceptably well, because Butcher can just run the table if you get to late game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although I had a pretty awesome... you weren't there, you would have loved this. I had a super awesome running the table with Vlad 1 and Masters. It was so awesome.
Oh, man.
I know.
Vlad 1 ran the table?
Yeah, so I...
No.
This is the best part. So I was lucky enough to go 5-0 in the Divide and Conquer. I won that, and then I advanced into Masters.
You don't say lucky.
Okay, I was good.
You're good enough to
Yeah,
go 5-0.
He was lucky at one game.
Things fell down right, and I got into Masters. It was actually my first appearance at Masters because John swindled me out of Masters at Daikon.
No, you ran out of time.
Yeah, my timer went off, but we'll say swindled. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
He only managed to kill me because he pressure pointed me to death. Anyway.
Well, that's what happens sometimes. But no, that was my goal for the weekend too. Even though I know I was leaving on Sunday morning and I wasn't going to be able to play in Masters, I was desperately trying to just say that I qualified for Masters, and alas, it didn't happen. I'm glad. I was excited that you got to. So,
So I got to my room at about 12:30 Saturday night or Sunday morning technically, and realized that it was a 3-list environment. I was like, I probably should have been building list over the last 2 days.
Also being told that it starts at 8 a.m.
Yeah, and instead of starting at 9 like we were told on Friday, it starts at 8. So I was like, okay, well I've got, let's see, what is that, 7.5 hours to make lists, go to sleep, get up, shower, get to the event, and have all my lists on my tray. I was like, awesome.
Sounds like a standard multi-tournament environment type situation. Warmachine Weekend's always exactly the same way. It's like, I've slept for 2 hours, and I've got a 3-list tournament tomorrow. Oh, no.
That's when you build 2 Sorcerlists and then Butcher 3 with 2 Conquests and just throw crap in there.
That's the only time
and done.
I've ever had someone tell me they would not play me was when I had Butcher 3 with 2 Conquests. He's like, I'm not playing that. I'm like, what? It's bad. And he's like, I don't care. I'm not playing it. It's like, come on. So anyway, Mad Dash
had that actually one of the last Mayhem events, didn't he have?
Who did?
Oh no, it was John Barkett from Mid South. I think he was playing. I don't think it was maybe it wasn't 2 Conquest. It was Conquest and Behemoth on Andre with Butcher 3.
Oh,
and it
okay.
was our last game, and it was just a crazy meat slog.
That does sound fun.
Oh, it's terrible. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. So I get to my room, and I just no sleep. I'm like, all right, I got to make 3 lists that don't compete for characters. So I was like, all right, I have Nis. I just wrote down all the characters I thought I wanted in 3 lists. I wanted Great Bears, Nis, Valachev, Joe, Silas, and I think there was one more I was worried about. Eris. Eris 2 was the other big one.
Sure.
So I was sitting there and I was like, well, if I make Sorcia 1, Sorcia 2, Butcher 3, they all 3 want Eris, although Sorcia 1 can go with Eris 1, which is fine. They all want They literally all want Great Bears. And they kind of all want Nis, although Butcher 3 can easily live without Nis.
Right.
So instead I dropped Sorcia 2 because I was like, I need a Crix drop because I know if I have a chance of winning Masters, I have to beat Tom. So I was like, I need a dedicated Crix drop.
You're going to run into him sooner or later.
Exactly.
You might as well be ready.
I made a Sorcia 1 kind of MSU list, but it had Rifle Corps in it just for, long-range shots for cheap. I made this terrible Vlad 1 list, which was Vlad 1 with no Warlock attachment, Conquest, Malikov running Behemoth, Widowmakers, Nis with Valachev, and Cloud Dwarfs to hide my 2 casters.
Seems fine.
Yeah, it seems fine.
Vlad can turn all of that on.
He can absolutely turn that on. I killed like 5 points on bottom of 1. It was great. So I get paired against Siege. It ends up being Vlad 1 versus Siege. And he's got typical Siege with Boom Howlers, Black 13th, Blazers full, Stormwall, and then Journeyman, the other, Squire, other support stuff.
Yeah. Rangers?
Yeah, Rangers.
I'm not sure full Tempest Blazers is normal with him.
Well, because the crit rules really turn on his feet.
It is, but
I'm sure it's meant to deal with Meat Mountain.
Probably.
See the Blazers as often as I thought I was going to when those models came out.
Do you not think those are good? I think they're fantastic.
Oh my god, Blazers are so over the top. I don't understand
why.
Awesome. How does Keith not like them? I don't understand what else you could give someone on a unit. Like, okay, they're not incorporeal. I guess, like, what else did you want? They're so good.
They don't see through stealth, but they just murder everything.
Yeah, it's like, I don't see through your stealth, but I shoot your dude next to your stealth guy and electro leap into him. You're like, oh.
They're terrible with Haley, I guess.
Haley 1, they're fantastic with Haley 1.
Jeremy, you can just go fuck yourself.
Anyways, back to Khador. Sorry.
Yeah, back to Khador. So anyway, we get paired. His Boom Howlers make, I think it was 11 toughs on bottom of 1. This is the only reason he didn't lose the unit. And at the start of his turn 2, every Boomhowler but Boomhowler himself was knocked down.
Wow. Okay.
One of them was because I crit through one Boomhowler into him with the Conquest.
Oh, with the crit devastation.
Yeah, and it didn't tough him. He just got knocked down.
Oh, okay.
He only lost 2 of the 13 tough checks I made him make.
Yeah, sometimes those dice swing that
Yeah,
way.
and I was actually surprised how well I kept cool on that, because usually once it gets to you're like double above what you should be, it starts upsetting me, but...
I guess it was early enough in the match to where it wasn't like a huge...
I still had
set.
really good board position on him. So,
Right.
So then he goes again. I kill 4 of the remaining 8 Boomhowlers on my next turn. They break, so I ignored them for the rest of the turn, and I killed, I think it was 3 Rangers. They made their command check. That was pretty much my turn. Then he goes to rally, fails his rally on his Boomhowlers. So they're done for 2 turns. I've ignored them forever at this point.
Perfect.
And then my Stormwall under Vlad's feet solos his Stormwall with Arcane Shield.
Your conquest, you mean?
Yeah, my Conquest, sorry. He responds by feeding and trying to take out Behemoth and blinding my Conquest with Gorman. He drops Behemoth down to 4 boxes on his feet turn, which isn't that surprising. Nis and Widowmakers basically managed to clean up the Black 13th and the Rangers over the next 4 turns. My Conquest gets blinded, I think, 11 times. Because Gorman's standing on the other side of a wall, and Conquest is speed 4 and can't ever get to him. And then I just
How
said...
many rounds did the game go?
I think it was like 18. It was 16 or 18. It was ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
At the end of the game, we were at a combined 2 minutes and 30-second death clock.
That's okay. Those were really substantially fast turns. I
Yes.
guess.
So once that happened, it was like he killed most of my Nis and my Widowmaker. So it was like I have Malakov, Behemoth, and Vlad, and the Conquest is always blind. Whatever, he's fine. He's contesting the zone. The Blazers have flanked hard, and Malakov walks over and boosts a hand cannon on him and guns one down, and then Vlad charges one and casts Blood of Kings, kills the second one. I think I'd killed one in a previous turn, because it drops him to 2 and he makes a command check. They fail their command check, and they break in my deployment zone.
Okay.
And I was like, you really can't be mad, because he's made like 23 tough checks at this point, because Boomhowlers are still just making them like bosses.
Right.
And it's like, you're just upset that you're rolling your tough dice on your command checks. And so...
I think those dice were weighted.
Yeah, and then so the next 8 or 9 turns, Vlad just casts Blood of Kings and kills somebody and casts Razor Wind with Blood of Boon. And he just stood in the zone forever.
I was gonna say, once you get down to the low and he's already defeated,
Yeah.
you just Blood of Kings and walk at him with Vlad. What does he do?
Well,
It's Siege.
Yeah, he camped 6 and put Arcane Shield on Siege.
Well, Siege is really hard to kill
He is.
at that point. But
And he kept trying to goad me into trying to kill Siege. I was like, why would I spend focus trying to kill you when I can just clear the zone and win? Because I had 3 control points at that point. The Boomhowlers were broken out of the zone when I killed the Stormwall, so the Conquest controlled for 1. And then, so he just goes man mode and starts killing Boomhowlers 1 at a time when they finally fail fucking command
that's
tough
that's
trolls.
man mode.
Yeah, that's
One
man
at
mode.
a time.
Hey, when you don't have reach, that is man mode. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah. I wish he had reach. God, that'd be so perfect. But
And it was
that's Vlad too.
it was the most boring game ever after that. It was 11 turns of Vlad trying to kill super tough Boomhowlers, Siege standing in the middle of the zone pretending to be threatening, and then the Conquest was pinned and black oiled.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much my entire team tournament experience. If you saw a lot of the end of my games, it was always 2 wreck markers where both of my jacks, Malakov's jack and Vlad's jack was, and then it was just Vlad being Blood of Kings and running around and being a boss, and like, well, you killed both of those guys, so let me put this in your caster's face and see if you can handle them. They usually tried and succeeded, or tried and failed, or ran away, or whatever. That was kind of my plan F, I guess, down the checklist of stuff I wanted to do. But
I really enjoyed your game against Butcher 3 in round 1 of the team tournament. That was the biggest nail biter I've ever seen. Normally you don't see Vlad engaged with Butcher on like turn 3 and the game go to turn 7.
I sacrificed, and that was probably, again, it was early morning. I'll blame early morning on top of just bad gameplay, but I threw everything I had to kill pretty much everything but Butcher that I felt could do any kind of damage to Vlad whatsoever, and then of course Butcher just took care of the jacks himself, and then it was kind of a game of how do we want to play this, scenario-wise, and see if I could face tank him, and luckily I managed to, but
I wish I could have
that
seen...
easily could have gone the other way.
I wish I could have seen his face when you just ran Vlad like 14 inches away from Butcher because he has parry, and he's like, "What? You can't do that!" And he just like pinball through his army, and they're like way over there, and he's like, "Hey, get back here!"
Because there was a round where he had. I think he was running Butcher with Conquest, if I remember correctly. Because I spent everything to get Conquest dead along with the other models that he had over there. I ended up charging P. Vlad in, or after black oiling his not his Conquest. It was another Jack that I caught him and Butcher in black oil. And so I ran P. Vlad forward and just stood there with Blood of Kings and saying, "Look, let's do this. Try to kill me with your mat." I guess you'd be Mat 5 at that point, and I was Def 18.
Yeah, we did the math.
Or 19 against Matt.
You were like effective, like defense 24 for
Def 20, or Def 20 Matt, or armor 22 or something like that, and just said try to deal with me. He ended up just backing himself out with like his Energizer move because I wasn't engaged with him; I was just close to him.
Yeah,
and then he just backed out. So at that round, I'm just kind of like, well, I can go after Butcher, and he's just going to camp. I'm not going to get another black oil on him because he ended up killing Gorman behind me. So I'm just like, well, I'm out of here. See ya. And I just took off the other direction. And I had the dogs dead, so he didn't have Relentless Charge anymore. So he had this big wreck marker to get Butcher around, and it was going to end up being a little bit difficult for him to get any kind of charge out of there without getting Black Dragon IFP free strikes, which I was plenty happy to take because he wasn't steady. So hopefully I could get a knockdown on him and stop him. So it made it a little bit more of a riskier situation for him to try to get out of there. But I ended up just, running backwards and camping everything and hoping for the best. And luckily I ended up, he had some dice problems at the end where he should have been able to hit me, but I mean, at Mat 9 especially, he should have been able to hit me, but I was able to, or he was, his dice kind of crapped out on him a little bit to where he got a couple of the hits near the end of the game, didn't get enough to kill me, and then I was able to just counter kill him. And that was a neat round of applause of a lot of people sitting around the table.
Well, you were like the last game still playing.
Oh, that was every game of that tournament. I could ground every one of those things out. And that's part of the discussion we can have, too, about the meta and how Khador is handling it right now and go from there.
I really do like how Khador kind of scraps to the end of most games. Like, they really do.
Depending on your caster, but most of them do. I tend to gravitate towards the casters that are a little bit more active and that can try to stand the test. Like, again, I've always played a lot of the Vlads. I play a lot of the Butchers. The only casters that I play that aren't that kind of effective are, like, Old Witch and occasionally some of the Irisks. They're not that great melee combatants. They don't like face-taking anything. They like sitting in the back and buffing everything. Except for Old Witch, for me, Old Witch's fighting style is send Scrapjack go and just murder everything. He's pretty much as good as any of our casters are running around solo, you know.
He's pretty good. So the mistake I thought I made when I made that 3-list pair, because I had a Crix drop, I had a Signar drop with Vlad, and then I had Butcher 3 to cover most of Hordes. Butcher 3 isn't the greatest Legion drop, I don't think, and Sorsha 2 just usually was my Legion drop because she can usually gun down their heavies pretty easy with her feet. When I switched over to Sorsha 1, I just don't have the ability to kill heavies very well. I can probably grind it out, but it gets really risky, and especially against the most common caster, Veil. She's immune to cold, so I can't even stationary her.
P-Source's game tends to be just assassination based and holding, or scenario zone holding everything, and it's a fine game to play and you can do it, but it takes a lot of time and practice. It's not something that's inherently easy to just do unless you know how to play her, and then know all of your matchups to know when she can do what she needs to and when she can't. You can't really do a faction drop with her. It's always this caster and this caster, but she has these maybe 2 to 3 casters in every faction that will just completely hose her game plan. You gotta hope not to get that.
Yeah, she's a really razor's edge caster, and you can't miss your opportunities, and you can't overcommit either. I thought I kind of lost my Legion draw basically when I got rid of Sorsha 2. I played Legion twice in Masters. It was great.
Did that go as expected then?
Yeah,
or
I lost the first 2 games.
What were they playing, though?
Veil 2 first round, and my opponent had amazing positioning. I'd have to give him that because he literally put his guys exactly where he needed to prevent. Because I had the potential to kill probably 4 heavies on bottom of 2, I want to say it was. Because he had double Ravagore with Veil 2, which I was not expecting, which did a number on my Iron Fangs, because they just can't do anything. They can't shield wall to prevent the blast damage. And
you light them on fire, and then
you just hit the front ones.
Die most of the time.
Yeah, you just hit the front ones, and they can't charge through, which makes it really rough. My Jax can't deal with his threat range on that many guys with Refuge, because I don't get anything back for free. So I went for an early game attrition swing by killing 3 or 4 heavies. I was like a half inch out on one of his Ravagores, and the other one bumped into something which stopped the pull. So I ended up only even getting in melee with 2, and then
bumped into something?
Yeah, the way it was pulling, it bumped something I wasn't going to move because it was bumping something else. So the conga line stopped his movement. I could have still pulled him in again with a later one, but I had Energizer for 3 and pull in, so I only had potential
And you
7
want a feat
focus.
so you can camp some.
I ended up camping 2 or 4, I think. The game got recorded and we'll post it at some point, but it was round 1 of Masters. So I lost that game. Jeremy's saying he's lazy, and he probably won't. So I lost that game, and the next round I played against Dagrosh won. For some reason, brain farted and forgot what his feet did. So I thought I piece traded a Carnivian for free and didn't. Instead, I lost a piece.
How did
I
you
had that
lose
game
a piece,
too.
though?
Bad positioning is why.
Because
But,
you still should piece trade it, and then he has to blow his feet, and it doesn't do anything for a turn.
Yeah, but that one basically I got a little behind on attrition, and when I went in to make up attrition with Butcher, I didn't get it done fast enough, and I didn't get to camp enough.
Okay, so where do you see that your giant negative in a three list format for Khador? Is it the character restriction?
The character restriction is why in 3 lists they suffer, and their ability to cover the field is why they suffer in 2 lists, I think.
I can see that.
So let's talk about
Too many
basically-
weaknesses in
Yeah.
2 list format.
The 2-list format, the thing I like about Khador is the things they do very well. So like the concept of a combined arms list, even though none of their things are really combined arms except for maybe Behemoth and Conquest, because they don't shoot and melee very well. Mm-hmm. Nis, obviously, if you bring them in, maybe a couple other Merc units can do stuff like that. For the most part, everything is very dedicated, but they have very dedicated things for everything. Their biggest problem is lack of stealth removal, in my opinion, but you can play around it.
You can, because a lot of times you're usually having some melee unit in there that's going to try to deliver itself into the stealth unit, and you just got to hope you get there first. I would say the thing about the combined arms is, and that's definitely something that I've always prided Khador in being able to do well, after playing it for about a year and a half, 2 years now myself. The thing is, the Khador tends to get a good rise in popularity or a good rise in ability to deal with things when the meta brings itself into a balanced arms, then they can do it. But then when it swings into something else, like if it goes too much infantry and no armor, then all of a sudden we have all these units that are hitting hard and just blowing stuff up, but they're not putting out a high enough volume of attacks to get the infantry get. Yeah, so then people swing now. We're looking at the Meat Mountain era that we're living in, where everything's high armor, and that's great, but the amount of shooting that we have isn't always necessarily enough to break all of that armor now.
And most of your shooting is based around troop removal. Not
very much so,
not armor.
and not
Right.
No, not at all armor removal. And we can. And the worst part is we have these units, that are the Man of War Shock Troopers, the Demo Corps. I don't even count the Bombardiers. I don't own any of them.
I bought those because they looked good, and oh my god, that was a mistake.
Yep.
Those and the Costites are the 2 units I don't own in
They should've-
Khador, and I don't think I'll ever buy them unless they get something sweet.
They should have kept range 14 or something.
They have
Yeah.
Yuri the Axe.
I don't understand how they're not range 14, or they're at least higher power or something like.
Something.
Or range 12 at least.
Yeah, like
10's bad.
Range 10 on a speed 4 is so crippling.
When I was playing Vlad 2, somebody had private messaged me, and I don't remember who. I should try to look and see if I find the name, but I don't want to light them on fire. But they were saying, like, hey, did you know you should do Bombardiers, because on feet turn it bumps up their rat by 3. And I'm like, that's still not good enough. I'm sorry. It's just not good enough.
Oh my god.
But it does. It's not, and I didn't think about them like, oh, it's rat. Okay. Well,
Dude,
let me
tell me
think
you-
about something else.
Tell me you play tested that. We're like, this guy's straight retarded.
Hey, their
I did
speed,
not do
their
the
threat's
Bombardiers.
not bad at that point. It's like 17 inches.
No, it's not. But I can also I can also put it like on a Widowmaker Marksman, and that's he's speed 10, range 14 with a rat 11. I'm okay with that too. And then he's def 17 if he gets engaged or whatever else. So
To be fair, Demo Corps are actually really scary with Vlad's feet because they get super hard to kill. They go to 14 19s with 8 boxes, Mat 10, POW 17 with backswing, and their speed 7. Like, they get real scary, but
it's one turn.
it's a feat. Yeah, you're using a feat to make a unit really good.
And,
That's a
and you're not even
that's only a
guaranteed to
9-inch
get the whole
threat, too.
unit.
Yeah,
Most of the time you will. But
yeah. I really want Demo Corps to work too. I would love for Demo Corps to work because I think those models have a lot of interesting things. It's just so hard to deliver them, and everybody knows that they're dangerous, so they just really dedicate shooting them off the table.
yeah, and the problem is armor 16 base just wilts to even like POW 12 guns. It just kills them.
Yeah, they're just dead.
I think all the Man of Wars across the board should get a 1-point armor buff if they ever do a Mark III, but it's just because there's no support for them.
There is.
I mean,
they can be
got the
repaired.
now. They just need a Man of War UA that does something.
They need a
something
demo.
different.
Yeah, they need a Man of War UA that gives, like, defensive line.
That wouldn't be bad.
Defensive line on any Man of War unit you buy it on is like 3 points. That way, like, it's 12 points for a 6-man unit of Demo Corps with UA, but they're arm 18 to shooting, so that way they can weather a lot of the storm.
I'd like the idea of a Man of War Demo Corps that's just a generic dude, but then he has 3 different rules based on who he's UAing to.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Ooh,
with this
snipe.
unit, he gives defensive line for... Desperate Pace for Man of War Shock Troops would be awesome. So something like that for getting them up the field a little further, and then the Bombardiers maybe some sort of, like snipe range or increase their range or something like that. That'd be
Snipe shot would actually be pretty legit on Bombardiers.
Yeah.
You might even look at them before throwing them away.
Right. And then the main PP boards talk about that a lot. Like, we need a Man of War UA so badly that does something the way that the Warborn Stalker, or the
Warpwolf skin,
the
Alpha, yeah.
The Alpha, yeah. Because I played Circle for a while, and I had Skinwalkers, and I thought they were awesome.
And
but for this, they had the same problems that Man of War did on top of the fact that they didn't have shield wall. So they would move forward, but then they get shot a lot. They would do a little bit of work, but not a lot of work. But then they get the Alpha, they get double strike, they get all these extra bonus things. I'm like, okay, that's a UA that makes sense. And if we can get that from Man of Wars, I think we'd be golden. You see them a lot more often than you do right now.
Yeah.
But,
Possibly. I mean, you still run into the fact that they're just super slow.
Yeah.
right. Oh, yeah.
They need a benefit, because, I mean, when you compare them to every other medium-based unit, they're comparable, but then you look at their speed 4, and that's really rough. Like Satrati. Like, look at Satrati versus Shock Troopers.
Yeah.
Like, Shock Troopers technically don't even hit as hard, right? Because they're
It's basically the same.
It's like a half point lower or something. It's comparable to POW.
It's 11 to 14, and then they're weapon masters.
Right.
And
also,
the guns aren't... Well, okay, that's the shield wall unit, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was thinking
the incendiary is
gun
a shooting
guys.
unit.
And
The
that's
incendiary guys would
shield wall is actually in the end kind of a negative when you compare that. Like, that's exactly why warders are so good, is because they're medium base and their armor has nothing to do with them being close to each other.
Positioning is one of the most important things in the game, and when you just literally say I'm giving that up for a defensive bonus, you lose so much.
You lose offensive prowess too, because you gain the defensive armor, but you now can move 4 inches, 6 if you desperate pace them, or shield march, excuse me.
Shield march, yeah.
And that's only an 8-inch walking threat, which isn't awful walking, but you're still walking.
Or if they had POW 14 glaives or something like that, just something to make them...
They
are 14,
They're
right?
14s, yeah.
Yeah, or
they're not
like
weapon masters, though.
Yeah, they need to be weapon masters. Because, I mean, they have the same glaive as
They
the...
probably should have the weapon master or something.
Yeah,
like that.
the Dracon is 14 weapon master, which is kind of nuts, but...
They'd just be incinerators at that point.
They'd have reach, though.
Anyway, we can talk about what we think Khador needs all day.
Yeah, I don't even know how we got down this.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I've been thinking so much about them lately that I just, every time I start talking about something, I was like, oh, this would be perfect. And I'm like, no, we don't get that.
Well, me and Nigel have been trying to think about that here, and he's kind of been throwing around some ideas of, okay, Lance was struggling against, Meat Mountain type stuff at Feast of Blades, which is the conversation we can have here in a little bit, but got to be a way for Khador to at least try to replicate the idea of it, at least ask the question and make everybody else try to answer it too.
Oh, for Meat Mountain?
In a way. Okay, we can just go into it, because I was at the team tournament. First round, I was playing Butcher 3, and then every round afterwards, I was mostly playing Hordes. I played 3 back-to-back Hordes games.
God, I played against so much Hordes.
And everybody was playing a Meat Mountain variant. It was Morvana 2 with, double Stalkers, Tharn Ravagers, Skinwalkers, and then the Legion one was Thagrosh 1's tier with the War Spears. Mm-hmm. So those were on both sides, and it was just, 8 hit points, high armor, and oh, by the way, you're -2 to your POW when you get within 9 inches of Thagrosh, and, kill this beast and I don't care because I'm feeding it back to use it to contest zones and murder all your Winter Guard infantry, whatever it needed. It was just that kind of stuff, and then I ended up, and then of course, Runes of War was at my last drop, so it was just so much meat to try to get through, and I'm just like, man, I would love to be able to ask these kinds of questions of my opponents. Other than taking Man of Wars, we don't have a way to do that, and that's a little bit frustrating that we don't even have the option to play that game if we wanted to.
I'm actually just going to read you a list I made real quick for my Man of Wars.
This was before Meat Mountain,
yeah, exactly.
Way before.
This was long before Meat Mountain. I built this list just because I like the look of the Man of Wars. It's Irusk 2, War Dog, Juggernaut, Bonded Juggernaut as if it mattered.
Of course.
2 Iron Fang Kovniks. Man of War Kovnik, he's just kind of in there because he's like the token Kovnik. He's like, hey guys, I don't do anything but hi.
I could take another FA1 of Man of Wars if you want some more of them in
Exactly.
here. No? You guys are good? Okay, never mind.
I do like that they idiot-proof the Bombardiers because he doesn't increase their FA. They're only FA1, thank God. Anyway, so after the Kovnik, 2 full units of Demo Corps, 2 full units of Shock Troopers, a min unit of mechanics with the officer.
Yeah.
So but running with IRUSC 2 gives you option for Pathfinder. It gives all of them tough, so if they ever do kill a guy, you get the option of toughing and then repairing him.
Right.
You get to walk 6 inches with the front line. Martial discipline specifically is amazing with Man of Wars.
Absolutely.
Because you can do the Demo Corps charge through and then Shock Troopers advance in front.
Yep.
The feat prevents Alpha Strike on you because -2 speed.
Right.
And it just generally works pretty well. It obviously has issues with like cricks and anything that beats meat mountains.
Does that feat give you no knockdown too, or is that just one?
No, it stands up, but it does not
stands up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you take a bunch of toughs and actually succeed, then you stand them all up, they charge, which is cool.
Yeah. IRUSC 1 has the 4+ tough, no knockdown.
Yeah, I knew he had no knockdown. I couldn't remember if 2 had no knockdown.
But you also get Pathfinder and Hunter on his. So I mean, you can go like Hierothamer gets sad and stuff. But anyway, there are ways to do that in Khador. It's just not as strong.
Yeah, it's one of the only ways I've ever seen Demo Corps delivered is in that list, but it's just so slow. I think it can get out-scenarioed by anybody that's looking for scenario.
That's a big issue.
Yeah. And then you kind of end up splitting a little bit. Like you have to split the army into 2 to try to at least contest some zones.
I think I've actually lost twice with that list that were not by Iris getting assassinated. And I think both of them were scenario. But Iris usually is the one that dies because they look at it like, I can't kill that, and they find a way to get Iris dead, which is like... Okay.
Exactly. And that happens pretty regularly. We were trying to think the same thing, too. I think Nigel's thinking on the same grounds of IRUSC 2, and I like IRUSC 2 a lot, and I think he's, sweet. But there's a couple of, and, God forbid I'm going to ask about this, but we're going to do... So there are some theme forces out there that really do make Man of Wars interesting that I think maybe deserve a little bit more introspection lately.
Butcher 1 Heart of Darkness, or
Butcher 1 Heart of Darkness is one of them, if anything for the speed bonus, but at the same time, IRUSC's Advanced Assault Force has the same thing.
I think I looked at that, but you need like 3 units of mechanics before you get anything out of it.
Yeah, because...
Maybe I'm thinking
there was some negative, wasn't there?
Maybe I'm thinking heavy assault.
It's IRUSC 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's IRUSC 1.
Okay.
Oh,
we were looking at IRUSC 2's tier, and that's why it has multiple mechanics things.
Yeah, IRUSC 1's doesn't require mechanics, but I'm only going to like tier 3 with both of them because the other ones require like a ton of jacks with no ranged weapons, and I sure as hell don't want to have like that many Man of Wars and not have some sort of ranged component to it. The benefit of both of them is usually like some sort of extended control range. They either get advanced move or +2 speed their first round.
Yeah, the Advanced Assault Force is include only models listed above. You get point cost reduction on Devastators and Spriggans. If you have 2 or more Iron Fang units, you get +1 to start the game. 2 or more Man of War units, they gain advanced move. And then 2 or more Warjacks, you get +2 a deployment zone.
Right. So I take this to the tier 3 only. I don't go all the way to the tier 4, but here's the list that I've got in front of me. I haven't played it yet, but this is kind of what I want to take. IRUSC with the War Dog and Spriggan, the 2 Iron Fang Kovniks, of course. I got a Man of War Dracoon with dismount. Max Iron Fang Pikemen, 2 units of Iron Fang Pikemen. You can vary up what UA you want to do with them. I'm always a big fan of Black Dragons, but I could do 1 Black Dragon and 1 regular so that one could kind of be in front of the other one. And then Great Bears, and then 2 units of Min Shock Troopers. So just make like a 6-man wall in front of IRUSC and see whether or not that... I actually kind of want to take a few things out of there, like maybe the Dracoon out and then throw in the mechanics and that sort of thing too, because on feat turn, 4+ tough, no knockdown of the Shock Troopers, hoping that that's maybe what they're going to try to target. Who knows? If they try to target those guys, they can not be knocked down. I can try to repair them after the fact. But also they're +2 to their attack moves. So if I do the 6-inch shield wall move, they can be Rat 7 on their shield cannons, which is kind of interesting. I mean, he has only space 4 away, but by the time I'm feeding, usually everything's in my face.
Yeah.
So it's kind of worth maybe trying to take a shot with some of those, POW 14
Yeah, POW 14 guns aren't a joke.
Oh, range 6. So they're technically a 12-inch ranged POW 14, Rat 5 up to a Rat 7 under a IRUSC feat turn might be and then inhospitable ground, so if they don't have Pathfinder, they're going to have a little difficulty getting to your stuff, and just have Iris basically walking behind this unstoppable wall of stuff with the Spriggan right behind him, the War Dog there to protect him a little bit, and see what happens. The only problem is you got to be really careful with your unit positioning, because you can't run through your models the way that Iris 2 lets you play so sloppy.
It does. It's so amazing.
Because you can always just run through all your stuff and it doesn't matter. And I don't get me wrong, I love that, and that's definitely sweet. And then all the time tough. I mean, that's So you got to kind of play around the game of all the time tough versus that one turn of almost 50% sure that I'm not going to lose one of my things that's blocking the line to get to Irisk and go from there. So I don't know. I think this list has. I think these lists have some options. Doing the advanced deploy or the advanced move on the Man-O-War units, 2-inch extended deployment zone, on top of having a counter charger, in there. It seems like it's going to be a lot of meat for things to kind of chew through. But that was at least that list. But the Heart of Darkness. I mean, do you have any other comments about that one before we move on to the Heart of Darkness one?
No, that was fine.
Okay. The Heart of Darkness one is a little bit different. And again, I can't declare these are like excellent competitive pieces. I kind of want to just play around with them and see if I can make them work a little bit. But the Heart of Darkness going up to tier 3 on these. The tier 1 is FA of the Manhunters go to +1 per unit included, which is fine if you have a billion Manhunters in your. I only have 2, so I'm not playing more than that.
Yeah.
But it does reduce the point cost of the Man-O-War Shock Troopers by 1. And I don't know, 8 point, 5-man unit of that kind of armor is pretty heavy.
They become not worth killing anymore.
Exactly, yeah. And then being speed 2 during the first turn of the game is obviously pretty solid.
Is it +2 speed? Not
+2
speed 2?
No, Man-O-War units gain +2 speed during your first turn, and you can redeploy solos. The tier 4 is his battle group without ranged weapons can gain advanced deployment. I don't really care about getting my jacks up that far forward right away. So my list for the Heart of Darkness one would be, and again, this being tier 3, is P. Butch with a Conquest and a War Dog, Man-O-War Dracoon with no dismount, double Manhunters, Min Shock Troopers, Min Demo Corps. So nice little 3-man units kind of scattered around the middle of the room. And then I got the Widowmakers and the Widowmakers Marksman in there. So that adds much more of a ranged game on top of the Conquest sitting back there, with a lot of meat moving forward, and then just hoping that I get stuff done. Unfortunately, he can't take mechanics, but if I could take mechanics, that would be amazing to at least keep the Conquest going. Otherwise, I feel like that's a fair amount of armor to kind of screen the Conquest a little bit from stuff charging it as it just slowly plods itself forward and does what it needs to do. I don't know, those are ways to kind of replicate what I was seeing there. I was just surprised at the amount of multi-wound models. It was really really frustrating.
It was really everywhere. What wasn't multi-wound models was Legion and Crix, pretty much is all I saw.
I had that Thagrosh one, so I was certainly facing it everywhere I faced.
I think I played that guy in Masters. I think that's the Thagrosh player I lost to.
Gotcha.
He was
really good.
Mm-hmm.
He was fantastic. Yeah, he fed me, I think, and it was obviously intentional, he fed me one of his big beasts.
Did he just blitz a Carnivian straight at you?
Yes, he did. And
it's got to be the same guy. He did the exact same thing to me.
And he had the Angel next to it, and I was trying to get both of them, and I ended up putting a lot of damage on the Angel, but I didn't get it killed, unfortunately. I left it on maybe 3 or 4 boxes, and then he was able to kind of clear it off and back it off and healed it back to full.
Yeah.
Or not to full, but
he got
it
healthy again.
Yeah, got it healthy again, brought the Carnivian back and used it to contest a zone off to the side because it was kind of falling to my Winterguard infantry that I was playing over there. And then I ended up having to get Winterguard infantry dealing with, the Carnivian. I'm just like, this isn't going to work very well. At least under the feet. And I was pretty low on them by that time because they were obviously preyed and being war speared to death and that sort of thing. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying they're perfect options. And obviously Khador is really good at killing hard models, but you have to take this list that's so skewed that way. You're kind of stuck in the other one having to deal with every other matchup in the game. And that's a difficult thing to kind of rely on or to build for.
I'm worried that we keep getting sucked into dojoing and we're trying to do more about theorycraft.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I've been doing it too.
So I just came away from there trying to think of how we could do it, and those were kind of the options I could feel of, because if we just take straight Man-O-War with no kind of benefit or bonus, it's just not real.
Yeah, that's the thing about Khador. When I play Butcher 3, I get so frustrated building lists because I'm just like, this does nothing by itself. I need help. And you feel like you need to support your units, or else why are you taking them? And Butcher 3 does none of that.
Yeah, we have so many casters that are so great, one on their own and B at buffing units, and when they don't do Yeah, I mean, he's great on his own, don't get me wrong, but that's a great way to lose a game. And I've lost so many games with Butcher 3 just by saying, well, I'm literally out of options. Butcher has to do all this work himself, and I hope he doesn't get killed. And he got killed. Okay.
All right, so let's focus for at least a few minutes on two-list environment in concept with Khador. Two-list environment, I feel like Khador has a real hard time being the answers faction as opposed to the question faction, where you just like take something, skew it hard, and see if your opponent can deal with it.
Right.
As where you're trying to be the guy who can say, you can put anything on the other side of the table, and between my two lists, I can fix that problem. I feel like when you try and be the answer faction, you lock yourself into basically one of two caster pairs, which is usually, a Sorsha or an Old Witch and one of the Butchers, or an Irusk and one of the Butchers, or something similar to that. Or you go into basically two extremely basic lists and just hope you get good matchups.
Yep.
When you go into the questions route, where you see more of like the Butcher 2 theme list, or Irusk like super high defense infantry all the time, things like that, or a Conquest armor skew list or something, which oddly enough Khador doesn't do the armor skew as well as other factions.
No,
which makes
we do not.
no sense.
Unless you want to play Harkovich, but who wants to do that?
Nobody wants to do that. When you go into the answer route, it's very hard to not get into list chicken, which is what I found over time.
Absolutely true. I mean, if you think about the game as a spectrum, and you're kind of having, you have your whole spectrum, and then the middle of the spectrum is combined forces. Mm-hmm. You can do where your two lists are, sit in that middle section, cover as much of the spectrum as you possibly can, but near the edges, when things skew out to either side, you are in big trouble. You just can't. There's going to be some things you're not going to be able to do, and you got to hope that your opponent misplays or gives you something early, or that you get some lucky dice rolls to make happen. But then if you skew to the outer edges with Khador, you're sitting at the way tips of either end of that spectrum, and then that middle group gets completely left alone, and then you lose just because of that. From a visual aspect, that's kind of what I'm seeing is happening.
That makes sense. Compared to the two-list aspect, because it is pretty basic, they do struggle with a few character restrictions, but for the most part they get by just fine, as well as any other faction. So moving into the three-list environment, I think you see a lot less of the list chicken, but you struggle a lot more with the asking questions part, because Khador's questions are pretty simple. It's usually super high defense or super high armor, or at least good armor in quantity.
Good armor in quantity, yes.
Yeah. Usually the thing they skew the most is, I have a lot of dudes and they're hard to hit. That's the thing. Obviously they skew the best. So, and they also struggle with character restrictions at three list, because they have so few things that do multiple things. Winter Guard infantry are absolutely amazing. They do almost everything,
but they require Kovnik Joe to do that.
Joe, yeah. You can play them without, but it's harder. It is a lot harder.
Well, they aren't near as threatening, because they don't have the third dice to hit everything.
The Mat 5,
or they don't have the tough all the time.
Right, the Mat 5, Rat 5 effect.
Because for whatever reason, you guys killed Piper's family, but don't worry about that.
If Piper works for Khador...
Awesome's family. Yeah, if you're awesome and you have a family, Khador probably killed them and you can't take them.
Yeah.
It's just the way it works.
People should have just never lived in Lael or wherever the fuck that place was when they nuked it.
It was mostly Lael, and I'm just like, oh, sweet. Now here's a guy who's not from Lael. He's from Ord. Oh, Khador killed his parents too.
Yeah.
God damn it. Every single time.
Yep. Just don't be Khador's neighbor, and you're fine.
Don't live anywhere near them. They're awful neighbors. I would say probably in a three-list pair situation, what I see a lot for three-list tournaments that I go to and look at some of the Khador lists for, they generally, for that third list, they'll take a hard skew theme force that doesn't have any characters in it, and they use that as their third list. So their list 1 and 2 are literally their normal two tournament list, and then they just throw in, and here's a Butcher 2 theme force.
I wish so much that I had done that in the last Masters. I just squeezed in Butcher 2 tier lists.
Yeah,
oh, man.
Yeah. Just throw it in there, because, it doesn't take anything.
It doesn't use...
I got Fenris. Are you taking
Yuri.
Fenris in any of your other lists?
I take Yuri in my Butcher 2, but I play a different Butcher 2 than a lot of other people do.
That's cool. He has characters available to him. People normally don't take them. They take as many Doomers as they can fit in with whatever their Jack loadout is, and that's how they play their game. And which is fine, but I think that's a good way to, if you want to do three lists for Khador, for all the listeners out there, I would probably say list 1 and 2, your normal practiced pair, and then list 3, something crazy. Like do Butch 1 Claws of the Dragon, do the Assault. Either the lists I just read off to you. If you're not playing either one of those casters, play those as your third list.
Yeah.
And just say, well, can you deal with this, and have a good time with it, and just be goofy.
So I think that because of what we've talked about on the 2 and 3 list environment, is one of the Khador's biggest strengths is the variety. Like, they have so many great casters.
Yep.
But so many of them just get immediately phased out when you try and cover everyone's problems. You know, the Vlads become hard to play when you need to cover so many different things. Like, it almost has to be a Butcher and a Sorsha to cover the two spectrums.
You've got to have to lump the casters kind of into, okay, which of these casters want Silas? Okay, they're over here in this section. Which one of them, want one of the other named, Jacks, if they want Beast 09, if they want Behemoth, if they want that sort of thing, they're in here. Which ones want Nis and Gorman and Ion and Holt and Eris and all the other ones. So you got to kind of lump them into these groups, and then you start saying, well, okay, on this tournament, you just pick one caster. Like, just of any of the casters, you say, I want to play this person. Okay, so he gets this, and this. I can't play any of these casters anymore, so you just push them to the side, and you have the next pool of casters that you can deal with. Like, you have to segment the whole faction into so many different subcompartments, and once you pick one, a bunch of the other ones gray out, and you can't play them anymore, or you can. You're going to play yourself at a major disadvantage, and then you have to play, okay, well, then they've got to match the matchups, and this is the only things that can meet these matchups and have them be the other people. So you end up limiting your choice the moment you pick your first caster. Like, that's difficult to some. But I think everybody maybe deals with that, but it just seems more so in Khador based on our character restriction.
So does anyone think there's anything we can do to fix that, or anything anyone has not been paying attention to? I think the way Nigel builds lists, because obviously he loves Sorsha 1. I mean, there's no question about that. And he's probably the best in the world at playing Sorsha 1, and I don't even think I'd want to put anybody else behind that list. Problem is that puts you into a corner, because of things she fixes. I mean, obviously he's played that matchup so many times that he can play outside of her matchups and still do well. He still painted himself into a corner by playing a skew caster like that.
And taking every character that you can possibly take.
That's a side note of it. But so he basically, it's like, show me a caster that can fix her problems and not take any of the casters that he's taken, or any of the characters he's taken. It's like...
Yeah, I mean, he's taken everything good in Khador and he put it in one list, which is great. I mean, it's Khador concentrate.
Yeah, it's Khador more than Khador is.
Yeah, he's Khadoring harder, and he's doing it in this concentrated form, which is fantastic because that list can take on so many different things. I mean, he struggles with it where he knows that his list pair to that has to share whatever characters are remaining after what Sorsha plunders his character group with. Yeah. I mean, he's taking Malikov recently. He's been taking Malikov in that list, not marshaling any Jack. He's just doing it for a boosted POW 12, and that's great. But that, it just seems like a weird way to just
more stuff off the other side of the list.
Exactly. Just heaving everything onto this side of the scale to make that thing so weighed down that the other list he's just having difficulty making much work on it. And he understands that. He knows that he's done that to himself, but he's managed to come out with some amazing wins on stuff that you wouldn't think P. Sorsha could handle just because that list is built the way it is and he knows what it can and cannot handle. I played the list one time it was with Aaron Whale from Tasmania. He came up to the store and he wanted to play a game and I didn't have my models with me, and Nigel's just like, hey, play Ocean's 18. I want you to just check this out. And so he sat next to me and co-piloted the entire game, and he was telling me stuff, and we were kind of kibitzing the whole game because I've never played it before, and I wanted to see what he was doing with it, get some insight on it. And, I mean, Nigel was just co-piloting that whole game, and man, oh man, I couldn't think of maybe I was on maybe a 25% level of what he was thinking of in that game. And he's like, now if you do this, you got an outside chance to maybe get this, and that Rube Goldberg's machines into all these different shots to just slowly dismantle the army. And I never saw it. I just did not see it on the table.
You just look at the table and you're overwhelmed.
You're overwhelmed. You're just like, oh my god, what is this? Okay, what do these guys do again? Like, there's some of these models here that you just don't play that often, like Alton Ashley. Who plays Alton Ashley? Christ. I mean, great model, fantastic, and did a whole lot of work in that game. Makes me want to just pick up the model and use it for something else. You got to have that expertise and that intelligence to know how to make that list work. We mentioned in the most recent Miami here, I was kind of going over my malediction with the faction, and people were saying like, well, you should just play Ocean's 18. I'm like, that's great, but one, I don't own maybe 3 or 4 of those models because they're just such random models.
Even Nigel admits that the problem with it is the backside of your list pair.
Exactly, and I don't want to. don't want to back myself into that corner if I can help it, even if it is an amazing game. I'd have to learn that list for like another year just to play it at the level that he plays it at, and then try to figure out something else to play with. And that it seems difficult. I don't know. It's too much. It's more work than I want to put into probably struggling and losing a ton of games just to make myself work it out when I could do something else that's a little bit more reasonable and mixed arms and a little bit more even keeled.
I would really like to see one more release for Khador, a big release, to be like even if they came out with like the Iron Fang Axemen to go with the Kovnik, if like non-reach Weapon Master Infantry or something, or a new Winter Guard unit that was semi-okay in melee, like they had like POW 11s or something, like Bayonet Riflemen or something with carbines.
I want those Axemen to have reach, though. If the Great Bears have reach and are wielding an axe, I want them to certainly have reach.
Also the Kovniks.
Yeah, on top of that, everybody that's Iron Fang that's wielding a giant ass axe seems to have reach. I would rather these guys. Maybe more melee options would make a difference. I don't know what Khador needs right now. I don't know what would make them more competitive. Obviously, a Man of War UA, as we discussed.
I don't think they need to be anything in the faction needs to be better at what it does. They just need more generalist units. Like Winter Guard infantry can arguably be that just because they can fight anything with CRA and. Hard to explain.
What's the problems in the faction? What can't you fix right now? Or what do your questions not ask hard enough to...
Because they don't deal with stealth well, they have to skew really hard against factions that have lots of stealth. Crix, for example. Okay. You have to almost devote an entire list.
Crix is pretty much one unit plus if the caster is running Occultation, which I'll grant you that Gorshade 3 is big time into the meta right now, so that's an Occultate caster. Yeah. And there's other casters that have Occultation, but that's only 2 units really, for the most part.
Denegra, like my assassination
there's
versus
a caster. Yeah.
And I'm not saying any of this particular, like the Withershadow Combine is usually stealthed, right?
Correct, they're granted.
The Hag, which is only one model, to be fair.
To be fair, that model is just retarded.
That model
but that's
is
okay.
Retarded. That's fine. Warwitch Siren.
She has every rule to make her stupid-proof, but that's okay.
I'm going to get lit on fire for saying this, but I think Khador to get a Purification caster.
But that just puts more of what might be wrong with the game in the game.
Is it really that's what's wrong?
I don't know. No, I just think it's... I don't know that it's good for the game, but I don't know that it's bad for the game per se. I just don't think it needs to be in a huge quantity throughout the game.
I could see a Hex Blast caster, but I really don't want to... I don't necessarily want to see more Purification.
Hex Blast would be interesting, but I feel like that to get a spell like that, it would be like Epic Old Witch. And I don't think she's coming.
But the problem is you'd almost have to be Purification because of the lack of arc nodes in the faction.
Right. It actually would. Unless it's Old Witch 2 and she still has Scrapjack.
True.
Right. Or maybe an Epic Zerkova that's better and that we can use.
Don't get me wrong. There's been god-awful casters that have been epicked into good casters. Yeah. So that's okay.
Yeah, so like a better Zerkova that keeps Banishing Ward. Because, I'm not saying we don't have the ability to remove upkeeps, because obviously we have Iris. It would just solve a little bit of the Iris problem. It would make... because right now we have the Doom Reavers, which is, again, fine. We have a lot of spell warded of those guys.
Hey, Lance.
And then Valachev with his disbinding situation. So we definitely have ways of dropping that.
That's the only Khador dispel is disbinding on Valachev. And technically Banishing Ward on Zerkova. They're all defensive. They have no way to remove enemy buffs.
So is that what you're looking for? Is removing an enemy buff is what holds them back?
Removing specific, because the concept I feel of Khador is that they're supposed to be the hammer and they're just supposed to go through the buff or debuff or whatever it is. Like Arcane Shield, well, I have Fury, so I don't give a shit.
That's why they probably have the most Mat 8 things.
Yeah, they have a lot of Mat 8 solos. I like the feel of the faction. It's fine. It's when you get to the super high levels, I feel like they struggle to be what people are trying to play them as. But they also don't skew hard enough, or at least the skew that they have was so powerful that they literally built answers into the game at a rapid pace that brought them to the point where they are, where it's you get countered sometimes.
So what's countering the high defense currently, in your opinion?
Well, I'm not saying that it's played heavily right now. I do agree that stuff like Chaosies and Winter Guard should be played a lot more than they are, and people that aren't taking them are forgetting why they're good.
Because the Meat Mountain or Fist of Halak or whatever, those don't deal with Defense 17.
Well, Fist can because of the Incendiary, but it's limited.
But, right, there's
And
Two
Runes of
minimum
War
units
can,
of those. Runes of War can, because they're freaking annoying.
Yeah.
because of their little AoE shots.
Yes.
I'm seeing a lot of AoE 3s, and those drifting. I mean, you can spread your Kayazi out enough to where it doesn't matter. But between that with the AoEs, I'm seeing a lot of casters with just AoE 4 nukes with Arcanodes.
So you're just saying that there's just too many, basically, afterthought ways to deal with high
accidental
defense.
hate.
Right.
Yeah, things that are meant to be like late game kind of nukes for the caster to do something.
Okay, I can see that.
Ends up to be enough to where if they just play off of their resource a little bit, it's just enough to kill everything that you care about.
Because that's really Khador's only question they ask is, can you deal with defense 17?
Right. I mean, Iron Mother, I just got to play a game against, and I had, Black Dragon IFP, and she's got that Shatter Storm or Shrapnel Storm thing that's like an AoE 4, 1 point of damage to everything in it.
Yeah, Shrapnel.
That's going to kill Kazi Assassins, that's going to kill all of my Shield Wall units.
Well, even on top of that, they've got like reflex surgers and stuff. So going through the factions, if I could just pick out things that deal well with them. Stormcallers can, Chain Lightning obviously does, Storm Pod does, Cover Fires, that's from Signar. Moving on to Khador, in the Khador hate, they've got plenty of blast damage between like Behemoth, Spriggan shots, Conquest shots. I mean, I've pinned a unit of Chaosies in the corner of a board for an entire 3 or 4 turns with Conquest because they're like, we can't get out. Moving on, they've also got like rockets or just the Winter Guard in general can just hit them. Moving on to Crix, Bile Thralls are fucking frustrating as shit. Witches just ganging them at 8. I mean, people underrate their, like, Blood Gorgers and stuff. Like, those guys can kill high defense because they got 2 attacks apiece and mat 8 with gang. You just kill them eventually, and I can't
Sometimes they have Dark Guidance, sometimes they have...
Oh my god, Dark Guidance.
The Cursed, they're...
Yeah, Gaspy 1 can throw out auto POW 14 AoEs. Asphyxious 2 can drop Corrosive Clouds that are going to stop your infantry from advancing. Menoth has unlimited amounts of fire rockets, apparently. Someone told them keep making them, they're good. Mercs, you've got Galleon and Earthbreaker throwing out blast damage. You've got, potentially, Damiano has Dead-Eyed Infantry. Like, long gun. If you take Long Gunners or Gun Mages, they can just aim and shoot you.
I mean, they're stealth. They are stealth, but they're covering fire templates.
Yeah, specifically the Gun Mages could do it.
Yeah,
Long Gunners, potentially, that you might have to wait till you can get real close. But, on top of that, like, just CRAing stuff. I like, even the new Cloud Dwarfs throwing fire bombs can do it.
Right.
Then, Runes of War, obviously, Bombers as well, and Trolls. Legion.
Those are in Smig.
Yeah, Ravagors are actually super annoying, not because of the AoE or the auto fire, but because of the Scathers. You can just drop it, walk your own beast into the 3-inch AoE and be like, oh, you can't get me anymore because you don't have reach. I'm like, great. So you can just do that. It's fucking annoying.
Yeah.
And then Circle probably struggles with it more than most.
Morvana 2's fine with it.
Yeah,
I think Morvana 2 is probably most of their drops against Khador in general because of the rerolls.
Rerolls plus like Carnage, really. I mean,
because they're handling
Carnivore.
Carnivore is plus 2 mat, and they have mat 7 stuff or whatever.
Yeah, because they're handling armor, they're handling high def, they're handling everything. And then if they don't care about that, they just feed back trees and murder your caster. Yeah. If your caster's not playing like Butcher or something like that.
Can you guess what minions countered high defense is? Terror checks. Terror checks for days.
Well, I would say now the Sacral Vault.
Yeah, that's what we needed.
Jaga, she's got...
Also, if you look back, how many of those things that I listed came out since Colossals was released? The majority of that hate, with like exception like Bile Thralls and stuff, like a lot of that stuff was just brought into the scene since Colossals. So it's clear that there was a shift to try and fix that problem, because it was not cool. Like, I went to my first Daikon in 2012. I can't tell you how many Khador players I saw. And it was all Chaosies all the time. And it was just boring. Yeah. And especially since it's not even a dynamic unit, so you just watch them move forward. And it's like, okay, they move 10 inches forward, go.
Yeah. No, and I don't think it's a question that shouldn't have been answered, and I'm fine with it being answered. I just expect them to come off the table for a little while if they don't do anything else, or until the meta shifts, which it seems like it has a little bit.
Yeah.
But then you're still playing that list chicken situation where they can put forward something that's really difficult for us to handle and can still answer their question.
And I almost feel like we're trying to get too ahead of the next level thinking, because if you try and bring them back too soon, it's just going to get people to keep it. And they're like, oh, I saw Chaosies last week, I better keep these in Sindari.
I can agree with you guys that it's the biggest thing is that just too many Also, and things that just happen to come in a list just can deal with high defense.
Yeah, well, like specifically, you just get the one guy who hasn't been to a con in 3 months or 6 months, and he's like, he's still running his all anti-high def stuff, and you draw him, you lose. Like, it's frustrating, but I think they can be played. I think they suffer from matchup problems more than almost any other faction.
I could agree with that.
And we mentioned that on the cast every once in a while. That it seems like Khador's style, because it's so generic, because it's so combined arms and just simple, and they don't do anything particularly well. That the way in which Privateer Press has attempted to answer a lot of different questions for the meta in general, Khador just gets caught in the crossfire every time. Like people just get prepared for, hey, we need to give people an answer to Troop Swarm. Yeah. Khador gets screwed. We need them to get answered through high arm. All of our jacks are high arm, and we only take one of them, so you can crack that too. Sweet. It doesn't take a lot of effort for a lot of the other factions to answer everything we can do. And it doesn't seem to.
Mm-hmm. And the big thing is that everybody has to, or everybody does, bring a Kriegstrop, which is swarm infantry, which is one of the things that's Khador's strength, so it's just caught in the crossfire.
And also, because people have been getting away from the high defense stuff, the just generic anti-infantry has hurt them even more.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you'll get I have a million guns that aim, and you're like, well, Iron Fangs eventually die, so... Or
at some point you're going to spike that damage roll, and we're screwed.
The thing that pissed me off the most before Lich got nerfed the last time was everyone was switching to IFP to get past like the blast damage and stuff. And it's like, you realize purges still murder that unit dead, right? And it's or like Fiora 2, like auto fire on the Judicator.
Yeah, but for whatever reason,
so auto dead.
That caster is not played a lot right now.
Yeah, it's because they got their new hotness, and people are trying to innovate right now because it's like the time of Crix to innovate. So
it is.
He'll come back. He will.
I don't know why he's ever left.
Hey, Lich 1's OP right now. I don't know if you heard. That's what won Feast of Blades.
Really?
Yeah, Tom 1s were like freaking insane and played. Oh, no, what did he say? He forgot the other caster in the room and he didn't want to go back upstairs. So he just played Lich 1 because it was in his bag.
And then Lich 1's okay. Lich 1's feat answers Khador defense.
Lich 1's feat claimed 10 kills on a blood tracker unit on bottom of 1.
Sounds like Tom Quan.
Yeah. We recorded that game.
I
can't wait to see that. It's going to be great.
I don't think the Circle player was too happy about that.
Sounds like a bad time.
He also momentarily forgot Killbox was measured from all board edges and gave up 2 points on bottom of 2.
Tom did?
No, the Circle player.
Oh.
Because Tom starts his turn, he raises his finger, he's like, please check Killbox, and he pulls out his tape and measures. He's like, what? He's like, from that side. And he's like, he didn't even measure, he's like, you get 2 points.
From all 4 sides?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the issues right now that at least I'm seeing with that. There was a point I was going to make based... I'm trying to remember what we were talking about.
I thought you were cutting out.
No, I was going to say, that's right. P Nemo with Warbeast packs, by the way, his stock is on the rise. I think you should buy in Nemo 1.
Yeah. Hey, Lance.
14 to all of the beasts are fantastic.
Yeah. Things that infuriate me about the game sometimes, and I'm going to bring this back to Khador, specifically because of stealth. The most annoying thing to me, and people complain about command checks and stuff, is like, if you're going to complain about oddball dice, like it is 2 dice on a curve, you should play Flames of War sometime, where you lost the game on a single D6 roll.
Oh, God.
Yeah, if he killed 2 of your, 7 units, like let's say you're playing Khador, he kills your Widowmakers, and he kills, a full unit of IFP. And you've still got 35 points on the table. Everything else is untouched. You rolled a single D6, and if it was below your command rating, you lost the game. And you just shake hands. That was the command rules. Your army breaks. And when you break, you're removed from the table.
For what game?
Flames of War. Which was considered better than 40k, which was my favorite because it was.
So you killed 2 units out of a total of maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah, it was usually between 4 and 7. Yeah, so that triggers a company morale test, and your company, because everything was a single d6 because it was a 40k system. So if you're reluctant, you're a 5+ command. If you're confident, you're a 4+ command. If you're fearless, you're a 3+ command. Say the Germans were mostly a 4+ command. They were confident veterans. So you'd be like, all right, you killed 2 of my 7. I'm going to roll a d6. If it's a 1, 2, or 3, we shake hands and you win.
That sounds incredibly stupid.
If they had killed your company commander as one of those 2 elements, you automatically fail. So if you just snipe their leader and then kill a unit and you just win the game and you shake hands.
Well, to be fair, typically if you kill the Warcaster.
True. I mean, it's
the game is over.
Similar effects in other games. People complain about morale system, and you should not.
I don't know how much morale comes up in this game.
The problem a lot of people complain about when they first get into one, they don't actually take command checks. Two, the command checks aren't that penalizing when you think about what command does in other games. So a lot of the intro players, like from Magic and stuff, that aren't used to having a morale system, they'll have a unit break and like, this is crippling. It's like, no, when your unit was removed from play when you failed the command check, which was a 50-50 chance, that's when it's crippling.
I mean, it's not like they break and have to run off the table.
Right. In 40,
away from enemies.
Yeah, 40k and everything, they would actually move back at full speed, including taking basically free strikes and stuff. So they would just run off the table, and if they don't rally before they get to the edge of the board, they're removed. If any model hits the edge of the board with a full run, they're gone.
That doesn't sound like a good time. I don't know why you would ever play
that
game.
But there's so many people that have never played these morale systems are so used to I failed, I have to stand still. Like, that's not what that means. Or like in Warhammer Fantasy, I've got a 150-man unit. They fail command by 1, and we roll 2d6. Whoever rolls higher, that person, if I roll below my opponent, my unit is wiped out to the man. And you just take 250 guys off the table. And you're like, good game.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. So people say
I never had a problem with command,
and you also don't have the chain activation of command. Like if one.
Oh
unit
yeah,
breaks,
like panic. If Warhammer Fantasy had panic, one unit would break, the unit next to it would take a test. If it broke, the unit next to it took a test, and it would just chain through your army. And on bad dice days, my whole army broke and ran off the table on turn 1. Good game.
Wow.
Because you're in your deployment zone. Of course, the full run takes you off the board.
Oh,
yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, so I mean, when people complain about command, it just makes me laugh because I'm like, you have no idea how bad it is.
Command in this game is pretty much a joke,
right? And that's why I don't think they care about units failing often or like multiple command checks. We're getting a little off topic, but I do want to explain this. The way fleeing worked in 40k, once you were broken, you automatically failed all command checks. So I had an orc army that had like 5 vehicles in it that could move like 18 to 24 inches in a turn, and I would get a unit to break. And then I would tank shock, which is move my vehicle into contact with their unit. They automatically took a command check or they break. But since they're already broken, they just flee again mid-turn. And then I do it with another unit, and they'd automatically flee again. And this is like, so you'll break in my shooting phase, and basically, and all my units or all my vehicles will just tank shock you off the board. Like, I'll make you run 30 inches in 5 seconds and get off the board. And it's just like, there's nothing you can do about it because your unit's already broken. So he's like, you were never allowed to fail a command test. I
mean, it's frustrating when it happens, but I've never had a problem with it.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe that's just the faction that we're in, because we've got a lot of Command 9, 10, standard bearers, or fearless models, or ways of granting fearless with battle lust.
There's not a lot of commanders, but the ones they have are often and powerful. Like the Iron Fang Kobnik being Command 10 commander is kind of silly. Like, he's in so many lists too, and there's a handful.
When you can bump him up to 11.
Yeah, the Command 11 with Madeline is sweet.
Or under the Vlad 2 feet turn, you can get somebody up to a 12 or 13 sometimes.
I charge you. I have terror. You roll boxcars. I pass. Now to hit.
But wait. Yeah, I'm Command 13. Shut up. Let's keep going.
Suck it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So anyway, people complain about command rules. I think the problem with the game at the moment is straight up meta bending abilities that they put on casters, and people think of it from a game's point of view. It's like, yeah, that can be easily countered, but not by factions. So like Shadow Pack. Shadow Pack is one of the most tilting spells in the game to me because it's an upkeep spell that a lot of casters can upkeep for free. Mm-hmm. And then you're just like, I have stealth. I'm like, well, I'm playing Khador, so good game. Like, if I didn't coincidentally pick my all melee list against you, I'm screwed. So if he's playing like Lilith 2 Saren, I have to pick my all melee list because we're in a list chicken. Like, sure, if I pick my all melee list against Veil 2, I'm okay. If I pick my all melee list against Saren, I'm kind of screwed. So it's like, but my other list literally cannot beat Lilith 2 because of Shadow Pack. Not because I can't weather the storm, but I have to weather the storm for 6 turns while I run at you. And
a lot of turns to make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, and it's just by the time I get there, I can't kill 5 heavies. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like, I was
There's another reason why I wanted a purification.
Right, I mean...
Almost exclusively that spell.
I look at Krios 1, I'm like, what do you have to complain about? Like, he dies. Like, are you retarded? Like...
Honestly, with Krios, I have never cast it.
Yeah, well, because you don't need to most of the time.
Most of the time I don't need to. I just I'll just Hex Blast it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cheaper and it's...
So specifically spells like that where it's like, I have this spell, I win unless you have a hard counter for it. And it's things like that frustrate me more than like Purification. It's like, okay, Purification messes with my matchup a lot, but knowing it's part of the game when I go into it, whereas like there's like 3 casters with Shadow Pact maybe even 2.
Right.
So, but it's like, but those casters, like Lilith 2 is really popular compared to probably Kaya 2. Kaya 2 doesn't see that much play. I think she should, but she doesn't.
Yeah. I think it's just because Circle Beasts are kind of...
Or it's like even Occultation. I think Occultation is such a not okay spell because it puts such a powerful ability on a unit that should not have it. Like Bane Riders. How do you kill Bane Riders that have stealth in a faction that can't?
That's how all buff spells work. You're giving a unit that shouldn't have something.
But I think,
you can't really make that argument, but I get what you're saying.
There's a difference between like a bonus to the stat and just straight up you can't hit me.
Right.
Because I don't think anyone can argue that Khador can't hit things at range. I can engineer ways to hit you, but when I just automatically fail is just a different story.
I agree.
And I don't know. It's just I wish things like that weren't in the game, but at least they're not super common. I mean, I'm not down on the game. I think it's obviously the best competitive game out there.
Right. I'm super, and I was kind of talking with John about this today a little bit because he said like, "Oh, I heard you're a little mopey on Khador. What can I do to help?" And that sort of thing. He's like, "Well, I want you to enjoy the game." I'm like, "I don't not enjoy the game. I love this game. I am down on my faction that I'm currently playing. I need to figure out either how to fix it to make it so I'm enjoying playing Khador more, or play something else so that I can continue to enjoy the game that I am. Because if I keep playing a faction that I'm not having a good time with, I can see myself slowly but surely resenting the game overall because it's doing all these things to me.
Yeah.
It's touching me in all the bad places, etc. And everybody else seems to be getting all this sweet stuff, and I'm getting screwed and blah blah blah. You can see yourself going down that dark path where.
Yeah.
And again, Khador is fun. And if you play it well enough, Khador can beat anything out there right now. I'm just having difficulty building lists and playing it at the level that I want to be playing at right now for the amount of effort and time that I put into the game.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to make it really hit those answers the way I need them to at my mid-tier level play that I'm playing at. And that's just kind of where I'm sitting with it. I certainly want to come back to it. I'm owning the faction. I'm not going to give it up or anything like that. I want to come back to it, but I just want to see a little something else for a little while, get another, idea of how the game is played from a different angle, and then see if I can't bring that back to Khador at a later time.
Like we were starting to touch on earlier, I really feel like Khador's largest weakness is basically lack of variety, because if you want to be at the highest level, I think it's different than the Haley 2. You are forced into certain casters, not because they're the strongest in your faction, but because that's what you need to solve the problems you're presented with.
Right.
So it's like, even if, like, let's say Karchev or Harkovich or even Butcher 1, like, if it came down to it, if that's your favorite caster in the game, it's so hard to just take any caster in the faction and find a pair for it. That's really a hard sell in Khador, because you almost have to find 2 perfect matches and make lists at that point. It's hard to take.
If you want to cover that, if you want to cover that midfield that I was talking about, that perfect combined arms unity group is very difficult to find. It may be out there. I just have not been able to find it. I've tried everything to try to tweak and still cover up the matchups that we know we have difficulty with. Obviously, the Crix matchup, which is what my old Witch list is. I mean, that's designed to be my Crix matchup. I'm having difficulty figuring out what else she can handle.
Right.
Because if it's not like Crix, everybody else is bringing heavy armor. So my other list almost has to be that armor cracker damage boosting list, or Butch 3 and just hope that he handles it himself. And that's not. And I don't like that idea.
The more I play him, he does not break armor. Like, he can, but you give up so much for him to do that for you.
Yeah.
And that's why I liked the 3 heavies list I was running for a while.
Yeah.
And that's why it frustrated me so much when I played Legion so many times. Because the 3rd heavy's the Devastator, which is supposed to solve my anti-high defense problem. And they don't run infantry.
No, they
Sons
sure
of
don't.
Bitches is 9-point wreck marker. Although I did make them kill it every single game, and that was just funny.
Which they can kind of make that happen.
It took a while.
It's
just like bulldoze. Okay, it died.
Or bulldoze Reign of Death? All right.
Yeah, usually when it was on like 3 boxes, I'm like, Reign of Death. And he's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, your POW 18 tickles, it gets murdered. Okay, great. I'm glad I made you waste your time on that.
I did have one game in the team tournament where it blew up 9 burrowers that charged it for some reason.
Oh.
He's like, Blood Fury, charge! I was like, I take 6, go. He's like, oh.
Yeah. And those guys are all in base to base. These guys are taking POW 18s, these guys are taking POW 9s, and they're all dead. Okay, great.
Yeah, like one survived. It was pretty funny.
God, I hate burrowers. It's in a weird space right now where it doesn't seem to have everything that it needs to do exactly what we want it to do right now, or to answer the questions, or to ask the questions. So it might be worth looking at a faction that does.
What about going up to 75 points?
I don't think that helps Khador.
They
run into the problem of it just becomes cricks and you just see more seas of infantry. And since they're not really skewing numbers, they're skewing quality with Iron Flesh and things like that. And you run into the problem where you can't support that much. Like you get basically Butcher 3, and it's like, well, Butcher 3, the higher the points go, the worse he gets.
It's the same problem I have with Vlad 2 from 35 to 50. It's just, and then it's everybody else from that to that. Like Sorsha could step up and she could pop feet. Maybe 20 to or 30 to 40, points of their models, but all the rest of them behind it are sure going to get some work done.
The only caster I think that really scales well at higher points is probably Vlad 1, just for the sign's importance.
Right.
Well, I guess we could mention a couple other, like, for instance, the Sorsha 2 list I like is... You played my Butcher 3 list, right, Lance?
I did.
Okay. So the Butcher 3 list I had played at Feast of Blades, which was my best performer over the weekend, when apparently you play against Hordes 9 of your 12 games, and Legion 6 of those 9. Like, I don't think it was that bad, but it was a lot of Hordes, specifically Legion. I played Legion at least 4 times, if not more. Although I scenarioed out against Saren, which was fun. I won with 6 control points against Saren. And I found literally the more often I chose not to commit Butcher, the more often I won. Which is just odd, because you're playing a list with very little support from your caster.
There isn't.
And my army would just win. I would send it against 50 points of their stuff and it would win. And I was like, that's surprising. So either I'm amazing, which is not true, or the list coincidentally complements itself very well.
I found it to be relatively self-sufficient, and I only had to commit Butcher. I committed Butcher twice, and I actually did a thing where I charged forward to kill a couple of vectors from Convergence, and then I ended up energizing backwards, and then collapsing the jacks in front of myself and clouding them.
Yeah. As
a way to avoid getting drugged by Prime Axiom, which, could happen in any way. But I made it so that I always had something in front of me to get drug into that wouldn't pull myself all the way to him, with a couple of other models and things. I like the way that list runs. It's a little difficult to control 2 different zones with, though. I always feel like I have to take Butcher and the Jacks down the center, IFP on one side, and the other side has to be handled by all of the Great Bears and Widowmakers, I guess.
Well, usually...
That's a little bit of a soft flank, but...
Usually what I do is I just rocket a Devastator to stand in the middle of the zone, and I just send a heavy flank on the other side.
Well, I was using the Devastator as my centerpiece of, my cloud bunker, basically. It was Juggernaut, Devastator are the 3 guys, and they all get clouded by Tyranids, and just like, well, if you don't have a way of moving these guys, you're going to have to get through them to get to Butcher. It was kind of the way I wanted to play that, but I get the idea. And make it with just a couple of Juggernauts, that'd probably work just as well. But
I'll run through the list real quick so people at home can
go ahead.
It's Butcher 3 with War Dog. Surprise! 2 Juggernauts, 1 Devastator for the battle group. Iron Fang Kovnik, Eris 2, Madeline Corbeau, full Iron Fang Pikeman with the normal IFP at Officer and Standard, and then Widowmakers, Great Bears, Turnians. So the concept of the list is basically you move forward your ball of hate with the 3 jacks, and you cloud them with the Turnians. That way you can move up Butcher while still allocating focus. You'll allocate 1 to each jack and run them, and then you'll Energizer to jam them even farther forward. You put the IFP on one flank with the Great Bears supporting, and then you just harass with the Widowmakers and Eris. And then you basically force them to deal with your 3 heavies, and then after they do that, you use Butcher to piece trade up. Or just go Killer Caster, which worked several times.
That worked that worked for my game anyway.
Which you would think, playing Butcher, you want to play against Hordes, but I didn't really build the list to skew specifically against Hordes. I just don't think, I don't know, maybe I should switch to regular, or to Black Dragon IFP, but I like that regular unit so much.
I did play Black Dragons for my convergence. I did switch those in. Yeah, they're too good. I mean, I was able to get them on. I was playing against convergence, like I said, and I played them against some vectors, and I was like, well, put this in your first induction node. So I was able on the charge to take out the induction node of like 3 of the vectors that she had on top of engaging them all because they're all arc nodes for her. So it ended up being, I don't know, I just like running Black Dragons more than the regular. I like the regular in certain circumstances, very specific ones, but for more often, I just get more bang for my buck out of my Black Dragons. I don't know why. I'm just so used to playing those guys and spreading them out and Iron Zealing them when I think they're going to get shot at on the approach, and if they're not, I'll wait till they charge in and then Iron Zeal after that, and then let them stand there at 8 teams after they've gotten a whole ton of work done, and that seemed to work a lot. But I like the idea of them being Black Dragons in there, on top of the whole Fearless thing, which again is great for the negating the commander situation.
I do like the Black Dragons a lot. I feel like the mini feat on the normal IFP is underrated more often than not.
If I have a battle plan for it, I like it. I'm still a little bit hazy about the when they get to advance if they didn't hit their charges. And
the wording on it here, I can actually read it to you.
It always makes my opponent like on edge to try to say like, well, okay, when can they approach? Which ones can move and which ones can't? And I always have to try to explain.
So I'll read it to you, and I'll give you my interpretation of it. Once per game during its unit's activation, this model can use defensive formation. Immediately after models in this unit complete their actions this turn. Oh, it's been errated. That's why it's different. Okay. Yeah, so it's when they complete on the card, which is how I've been playing it, which is probably incorrect. It says after the models have completed their activations, which would be after the unit is done, and they've actually ended their activations. In here it says after they've completed their actions, so you could not do it when running, and you could not do it if you failed to charge. So you'd have to complete a charge to be eligible to get the move, which is usually still okay because you can run guys into spots, and then the guys who succeed in their charges can go meet them for the shield wall. But it is more restrictive.
Yeah, because they were the way that the card reads originally was that people could run them 12 inches and then pop mini feet and then move an additional 6. Mm-hmm. And they knew you couldn't do that, but it was only the ones, if you did run charge, basically only the guys who charged and successfully charged could move the 6 into the shield wall. Everybody else had to stand there.
Yeah, well, there's actually a way you can kind of get around it, which is silly. You activate the unit officer goes first, he pops many feet and runs 12.
Okay.
Then everyone in the unit charges him.
Okay.
You kill him, and then everyone gets the 6-inch move.
Huh.
Because they all successfully charged and completed their actions, they just chose to not redirect, and then you get your full advance.
So you just kill some random dude in
No, it has to be the officer.
Oh, only the officer.
Well, you could, in theory, charge a random guy, but
yeah,
I guess it would be more beneficial. You could charge the flag.
There you go.
Because he doesn't do anything.
Does he not grant them anything?
No, he literally is just a banner. He lets you reroll command.
Oh. See, like for Black Dragons, he's the Fearless. Mm-hmm. So I always keep him like way back and safe.
Yeah, he's also a good Khador arc node because he's useful and doesn't have an attack.
And Command 10.
I actually like sending him up to try and get people to kill him because he doesn't have an attack, and they're always like, sweet, I got the banner. I was like, yeah, whatever. And he doesn't have a gun or a sword or anything. I don't care.
Yeah.
He is useless to the motherland.
Hey, rerolls are pretty awesome.
I'm going to read through my Sorsha 2 list real quick.
Yeah, do that.
This is actually the list I've played the longest of any of my Khador lists. It's had a slight change in it to accommodate Butcher 3 as its list pair. It's Sorsha 2, Silas, Conquest, Khaldun Lord, Kovnik Joe, Goblin Tinker for the Conquest, Eris 1, Winterguard Infantry full with Rockets and Officer, Selena and the Nis Hunters full with Balachev and Widowmakers. Originally, the Tinker and the Widowmakers were the Great Bears, and Eris was Eris 2. But you can't have Eris 2 in both lists, and I ended up putting it in Butcher just because of the off chance I play against someone with a crippling upkeep. But to be fair, he's not really my tricks drop, and that's the biggest place you're going to see it, but there are other ones that are super annoying.
Yeah, random crippling grasps are annoying.
Against a lot Oh, good, yeah. Crippling Grasp is, my god, so frustrating. Denny 1 is probably what tilts me more than any other matchup in the game. I'm just like, how is your stuff this good?
Because you use the Mark 1 or Mark 2 first caster.
How did they not
unbalanced?
How did they not change that feat? How did they read that and go, yeah, that's still fine? Like, there's no way. They neutered Vlad's feat so much, and hers was almost as good, if not better. You know what Vlad 2's feat was in Mark 1, right?
I've heard.
Yeah, it's...
I haven't committed it to memory or anything like that, but I've heard it was bananas.
Yeah, so you got your D3 plus 3 models, but instead of getting plus $3 stats, they got plus $3 stats, an additional attack with each weapon, and boosted attack and damage rolls. So Manhunters became still the stupid monsters they are now, but had 4 attacks because it was with each weapon and got boosted to hit and damage. So they were 4 dice to hit, or 3 dice to hit, 4 dice on damage, always, POW 14.
I'm okay with that.
It was fucking nuts. The fastest caster kill in history, because it used to be by time, not by number of models killed, was a minute and 48 seconds. It was Vlad 2 versus Vlad 2. The guy didn't put anything in front of his caster, and then as soon as his opponent started going, he was like, oh shit, I just lost. He advances Eris 7, because back then it was 12-inch deployments, so AD on top of that was 18 inches away. She advances 7, shoots Vlad, hits, and he goes, good game, feats, advances the Widowmaker's 9, and guns down Vlad with Widowmakers. And he's like, what, really? Because it's like dice off 6, but they're boosted, and just guns him down. I was like, oh my god. He activated 6 models and killed his caster on top of 1.
I like it.
Yeah, Mark 1 for the win. It's so bad.
Why isn't Vlad 2 still that good?
Yeah, he needs to be that good.
Yeah.
I played iRusk 1 for the first time today.
You've never played him before?
I'd never played him before.
Really?
He doesn't have a sweet flag. I randomly, because I'm normally a power gamer, but I like thematic things. And so I would see Iris 2 model, and I was like, why would you play Iris 1? He looks like garbage. And I just don't even care what he does. You cannot convince me he's good.
To be fair, you did have the old one.
That's true. I have the old one, which looks awful.
The one where he's kind of like standing straight.
Yeah, he's got like his hands behind his back. He's like, hey, bro.
I like that one. I think that one's kind of sweet.
He looks prudish.
That's what Iris is.
Yeah, that's true.
Fluff, anyway.
I love Iris 2's theme, though. He's just so good. He's like, if you run, I'll kill you. And he's like, gotcha.
Blam!
No problem, sir. He's like, are you not fighting anymore? He's like, my leg. And just shoots him in the head. Does your leg hurt? And he's like, I'm fine. He's like, no leg. He's like,
I'm good.
The reason I started playing was Karchev, and the model was just so cool, and the concept of it was so awesome.
Yeah, putting a caster in on Jack. Yeah,
they were starting a 15-point league, and I was like, "Well, what's the lowest models I can play with?" And they were like, "Well, you can take Karchev and like 2 Jacks." And I was like, "Done."
Perfect.
Yeah, I took Behemoth, Juggernaut, and Karchev, and I went undefeated in our 15-point league.
Well, I will say I'm excited about the Grolar. I think the Grolar is going to open up some interesting options for Khador.
Oh man, I
when
can't
it
believe
gets dropped.
The only thing I like, the big hope I have for that guy, and I don't get me wrong, I love the Grolar. He's going to see so much play with me, but oh god, I hope they do a 3rd Jack in that kit. I really do, because it's going to be Kodiak Grolar, obviously. But oh my god, they could squeeze in a 3rd one. That could be so amazing.
Yeah. Well, it could be that Mad Dog thing. The picture of it for the card game is it's difficult to tell. People are always saying like they think it's a Berserker, but it's hard to tell. Mm-hmm. It could be a Kodiak.
They're both kind of dinky, but yeah, they do look noticeably different.
Like he's got the big fist things with big armored fist things, but then the Mad Dog has the spikes coming forward on them.
To be fair, though, what was it? The Spriggan and the Devastator never really looked that similar to me until I saw them in the same plastic kit. So I mean, maybe they'll just make it work, and the Berserker will come in the kit too. Because they're both on kind of light chassis. So
yeah, I don't know. The Grolars or the Kodiak seems always so like shoulder and hand heavy, and they're just very stately. Like they just stand upwards and they're just meaty. And the Berserkers are kind of always in like a running pose with the axes out. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe if you took the armor pieces off of them, maybe it would look a little bit more Berserkerish. But it's a little. Yeah. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell if they would make that be its own thing or not. We don't have a character Kodiak yet. We have the character. The character Berserker already in Drago, and
it just seems odd they'd put a character in a kit. Maybe the Mad Dog could just be an upgrade kit to the 2-man box.
Could be. Could be. And they're kind of doing the 2-man boxes with the plastics now with the Nerf and Seraph and stuff, so it's not outside the realm of them to just keep it at 2 and then maybe throw an upgrade kit on something or... I don't know. It's an option. Who knows what PvP wants to do.
We definitely need more Armor 20, Defense 10 Jacks that have the letter D starting in their name, though. And we could really use more of those.
Right. And all of the grid filled in. And,
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, question.
That's just what we need.
What's the worst Jack in Khador?
The worst Jack in Khador?
In your opinion, because I think every person I've ever asked this has answered incorrectly.
Oh, there's a correct answer?
I feel strongly there is a correct answer, and I will tell you based on how many times you've seen it on the table.
Okay. Well, I think the two least seen that I would say it's going to bounce between probably the Decimator and the Marauder, and I'm not sure.
Damn.
Those are the two that I see the least of.
I think the Marauder is the worst Jack in the game. Which
Really?
Yes, he's so bad.
I guess.
The problem is he's so situational on top of not being super cheap.
Yeah, he's a utility Jack, but we're always paying the full point value for everything because we're paying for heavy Jacks.
Yeah.
All the time, and yeah, they're not going to be able to get us a discounted utility Jack. Our utility Jack has to cost as much as everything else does. It is 7. I mean, it's as much as a Juggernaut is.
Yeah,
but
I just can't. I can't justify not taking a Juggernaut.
No, not when you have that kind of option. I mean, and he doesn't even have reach. If he had reach on the Pistons, maybe that'd be
No, if he had reach, he'd be legit. Because even at POW 16, I'll take a reach heavy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because then give him to Butcher and throw Fury on that bad boy and let him go to town. And obviously people, if anybody talks about using him now, it's always with the idea of, wait, what does this sail do again? And that's the only reason why you ever hear anybody ever taking that guy.
The reason I've been thinking about taking him is with Karchev, you can power slide and engineer some really fucking weird slam angles.
Absolutely.
That they can't stop.
I've heard people talk about the idea of doing it in a Butcher 3 list to where he sits behind the other Jacks, like in front, and then you let him move forward and combo smite something, knocking a bunch of things down, and then Butcher follows the line of carnage that he left, for the things that he shot over on top of hitting a knocked down model. I don't know. There's just enough huge base things, and you can use terrain to block the, where it's going to go and model positioning. You can really make the effective level of that Jack drop in very easily. It seems like, anyway.
Yeah, or just like have a medium base caster and small base dudes, and all of a sudden he's worthless.
Right, exactly.
And it's another problem is just slams are so inconsistent on the distance too. Like if you could guarantee it was like D3 plus 3 or something, then it'd be a lot more powerful. But when it's like I slam you 1 inch, like that was fun. So now you're out of my reach, but nowhere important.
Yeah, and I have a 7-point Jack that you're going to eat next round.
And I had to boost to hit.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, and the idea, obviously, with huge base models, what's a Marauder going to do against a Storm Wall?
Yeah. I mean, there's just so many things he's terrible against. I kind of wish he was one of the Clamjacks, like, instead of the Demolisher, which I don't mind the Demolisher, but instead of him having the Marauder Slam guy in there instead, like, he opens up and he's got the Pistons, like, that would have been really cool. Because then you can guaranteed deliver him. Yeah,
because then he just marches forward to wherever he needs to, including like maybe even a bulldoze, and then he opens up and ram Pistons and shoots them.
Walk up to beside you, get slightly behind you, bulldoze you back towards me, get behind you all the way, and then slam you towards me. God, that would be so annoying.
Or they can make the POW on it a little bit higher. I mean, they kind of did it with Convergence with the, I can't remember what Jack was. I don't think it's the Cypher. It's the one that's got that, like, the piston gun thing that it shoots at once, and then it can't do it for a full round.
Dongulator.
Yeah, but it's like a POW 9 or 20 or something like that.
It's POW 20 auto knockdown.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Something like that, which again, I think is why the Grolar is super interesting, because now the Grolar is going to be able to almost engineer better knockdowns than the Marauder would have been able to, and then continue to attack, included shooting the knockdown thing in the face, shooting stuff around the knockdown thing in the face. It adds more versatility to a Jack that was really already not taken and kind of played around with. But I don't know, that I'm really excited about the Grolar. I think it's going to be so much fun. I've had a couple of dojoed lists with Vlad one running like Beast 09 or something like that, and then Andre running a Grolar, and then under that feat with Boundless Charge, letting something come forward, and the Grolar knocking something down, and then shooting a bunch of boom howlers around him and knocking them all down, and then sending in Beast on the feat turn, and it's just been great. I think he's going to open up a whole lot of avenues, and I'm excited about that Jack coming out, but it will be quite a while. Signar's getting Dynamo first, but before we see anything for sure. But
before he even knows what ours is, they've seen concept art, a picture of it painted, and are getting the model.
Yep.
No favorites.
Yeah. And can we see our Grolar that you had in that book? No! You wait 6 months!
Well, to be fair, they are saying Thunderhead is shit.
That's true. It's in the text. It's like, that is correct, Thunderhead is garbage.
Wow.
Max actually.
I loved Thunderhead when I played Signar, but I was playing Signar
so good,
wrong.
so
but
good.
I liked him. I liked him a lot.
Signar's a faction that, as long as you're a good player, I feel like you can do well with them. Doesn't matter what you take.
They have a lot more, and I won't. I was a brand new player to the game, so I was definitely terrible. I will openly admit that it was my play style, but I got out of that faction right before the Stormwall came out, and then I started looking at every release they had afterwards. I'm just like, well, that answers the question I was having problems with, and that answers the question I was having problems with. And I was like, God damn, I got out of the faction at the wrong time. Because they seem to have, they had a lot of things going for them, obviously. You have your Haley options, you have, all the gun mages, you've got Kane, you've got a number of things. They have a similar issue to us with their mercenary options. They can just take more of them than we can because they haven't killed all their families.
Yeah, they should.
But, but at the same time, then they just started getting all of these gap fillers.
No, yeah, I totally agree. Signar was perfectly fine until the Stormwall came out. Any other release they've gotten is fine. I think clearly the Stormwall is a bit too much. I think it should just not do the storm pod thing, and it'd still be fine. Cover fires are really annoying, specifically for Khador and Crix, when it's just like, what do? I can't get to you.
I'm like, I can run around these, and then you're just going to shift them, and then I can run a few more inches forward, and then you're just going to shift them again. At the same time, you're murdering everything else in my army that you want to kill.
And the Stormwall has faults, like, potentially it only really kills 2 models a turn at ranged, which it can just get overwhelmed, but...
And it does. I've killed it with Stormwall, obviously.
So good.
But that was a question... Those were questions that Signar couldn't really ask before without having a lot of high point models or a lot of high point mercs. Like, whenever I played Signar back in the day, and again, this is pre-Stormwall, I would feel incredibly outnumbered on the table all the time. Crix was pretty prolific at the time, and it was just, here's 30 Bane Knights and this and this. I'm like, well, I have
take
these
20 long gunners. No, well, you're screwed.
two jacks and these, I guess, Stormblades, and they're going to try to do something. It's just, they kind of move forward and then just get immediately eaten, and I'm just like, well, you've got 70 guys and I have 3, so this is a good time. Whereas the Stormwall would just take that bet all day and just kind of look around going, okay. And on top of having, like, a heavy armored guy that isn't the Centurion with with Arcane Shield on it, that can also do something, because a lot of times the Centurion just does nothing. It just runs into a zone and hangs out there. It's like a clamjack that doesn't really do much until you get it engaged, so the Stormwall just answered, and it had high POW, it had POW 20 weapons. Before Signar was a little bit pillow-fisted. It was like POW 10 shooting, and and any of their infantry options, the in-faction infantry options were pretty garbage, as we all know. And then the Merc stuff, you had to kind of play around with. They didn't have ranking officers yet, or they were just getting ranking officers by the time I dropped out. Like we were talking about earlier, the Tempest Blazers. Holy crap, I would play the crap out of the Tempest Blazers. Like, I think those things are amazing. High speed, high range, put the pressure on the people early to let your other infantry get forward a little more. That's great. And that's why I really like our Outriders, of course. I think Outriders are an amazing option for the faction. I'm not going to say we haven't gotten anything since,
No, that's specifically what I wanted to bring up, was that they have all these amazing tools. It's just the way in which they combine them is, I want to use the term scornergy, because it's just, you think you're doing so great because you fix all these problems, then you look back at the list of things you have and you realize it only works against that.
Well, yeah, that's very specific, and if I played against anybody else, they don't care, so...
To fix... It's like the problems they have are so bad that they have to tech so hard to fix it that you end up like, all right, I've got all my problems fixed, and all of a sudden I look there and I've got 4 points left to take my anti-armor, and it's like, damn it.
Max, you got anything else you want to add to this wonderful episode of complaining about our factions?
Khador fucking sucks. Hey, I'm not complaining about Crix. They got things.
Yeah.
No, yeah, Crix have things.
I don't know. And again, I think we've caveated it 100 times in this episode, and I think we want to understand that too, is that we're struggling with them right now, or that we've played them long enough that we want to see some other things. We're not saying that Khador is terrible. We're not saying it's bad. We're just saying we're having difficulty coming up with that. With the releases that they have out right now, that they were coming up with that list pair that really makes everything click that's in the meta right now. And unless you're really playing well, play Amazing List Chicken, or can dojo the crap out of something really skewy, Khador is, I think, having a little bit of a struggle right now in terms of keeping its head above water.
Yeah, I think with with everything out right now that you're going to either see really inconsistent results because you're playing list chicken lists and you just don't realize it, or you're going to struggle against certain matchups just because you can't cover it in your standard pair. And the Outriders were a big help. Like, Outriders can do a lot of work against your bad matchups and still, help in other ones too. POW 12 sprays is big. And just for the record, Lance, I'm not struggling. I'm doing fine.
You went 5-0 the first day. I'm struggling.
Yeah, I started the weekend on an 8-0 winning streak in tournaments.
Right. I think it was the moonshine then.
Yeah, and then we lost that previous round where I pulled out a win. And I was like, oh, I was just demoralized. I was like, I went 8-0. We still lost.
We still lose. Oh, team tournaments are the worst.
I blame Scott, who forgot to feat with Saren. I hear that's one of those you don't forget.
Well, I mean, I only won that first nail biter game, and then I lost every other game in the team tournament. So I didn't. The fact that you guys would have had to carry me every round thereafter, I'm not. I'm
pretty sure Scott went 1-0 or 1 in X as well. So it was fine. We won the first 2 rounds. I don't know what you guys are talking about. It went fine.
We did.
You guys just needed to keep alternating wins, and we would have been great.
That's all we needed to do. Unfortunately, as we got farther in the team, we kept running into meets.
Yeah. Oh my God. I think combined we played 3 Warmachine players the entire day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was nuts.
It was all hordes.
You ran into a lot of Meat Mountain type stuff. Sounds like you could have went with the Cricks.
But none of it was Meat Mountain.
That's fine.
It was all other.
Yeah, it was like
or it was
Crick catches any multi-wound infantry into the crossfire.
Yeah, so we should have just had Cricks on the team. We would have been fine.
X-Nay on the Khador, and we get more Sorshas out of the matchups, so Gorshade 3 has more good matchups.
Speaking of team tournaments, everyone needs to get a ticket to the Kill and Grill, because this year it's going to be WTC style.
Oh, really?
He announced it like a month ago or something on his page.
That'll be fun.
When is it?
It is July 26th last year. I think it's the same this year. Mm-hmm. If it's that Saturday, wherever the last Saturday in July is, I'm pretty sure.
July. Do they have tickets still?
He hasn't opened tickets yet.
I think he's doing that at Warmachine weekend.
Yeah, it's got a hard limit on it, so keep an eye out for tickets.
Yeah, that's going to be something we're going to try to get involved with. Yeah. If I can get a 5-man team
going. I'll be defending my title.
Yeah, we'll be defending our golden spatulas.
Oh, did you win?
We did win. Team L2 Wargame took it all.
Wow.
And we got these enormous pancake flippers that are fucking spray painted gold. They're so awesome.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I like getting actual trophies that are fun.
That are goofy. Yeah.
I can always buy more models. I can't go buy a golden spatula without feeling like a fucking retard.
Hey, you got the Sin City Butcher, didn't you?
I did. That was another cool prize.
Was that for winning the one you won?
That was for the Divide and Conquer tournament.
Cool.
Yeah. And then for that, was it Commander's Crucible or the Hardcore that night? They had an Uno of the Falconer done up too.
Yeah, I didn't see that model, but I
think that was Hardcore.
Mm-hmm. They also had a sweet Gorman to Seawolf. I don't know who got that one, but it was on a really cool base.
I think that was for the Iron Gauntlet.
I believe it.
I can't remember. Or maybe that was Commander Crucible. I think Hardcore was Una, and then Commander's Crucible was the Gorman to Seawolf.
I liked it when Tom got to go up and accept Ryan's award because he wasn't there. Because it's Tom. He didn't say anything. He's just like, I'm Ryan. I was like, yeah, Ryan. Go, Ryan.
Do it, Ryan.
and then we went back. It was Tom. I was like, yeah, good job, Ryan. He just started laughing.
You got shorter and more Asian. Good job, Ryan.
Did you fall asleep in a tanning bed and get shriveled or something? Like, what happened?
Jeez.
It was pretty funny.
Cut that part out.
No,
Jeremy.
no, I'm just leaving that in. If you want to edit this, you can cut it out.
I'm certainly.
The longer it goes, the more daunting it seems.
You guys do whatever you want to do with this thing. I don't care.
So, best 2 list is clearly Sorsha 2, Butcher 3. Clearly. It did the best by far of all Khador matchups that weekend. I don't want to
make that definitive of a statement for the entire faction, but
far and away, hands down.
For Brandon, yes.
The only closer one might be Harkovich Sarkova. I'm just going to say that.
I know, right?
They cover each other so well.
Only
I was going to say
Strakov. All models.
Oh my god, if he gave +3 armor to everything, that would actually be arguably good.
Yeah.
If who did?
If Harkovich's feat affected everything.
Oh, yeah. If it was the whole army, that would be one thing, but... it's Jack base, and all the spells are Jack base except for Fortune, and that's it. Yeah, not worth it.
Can I just have Scar 1 in Khador? Is that fine?
What would that do for you?
I would totally take IFP with Scar 1.
plus 5 armor and strength. We could make some use of that.
Arm 27 for 4 dice, or 3 dice to hit. That'd be fine.
I'm good with that.
POW 18 Precision Strike.
And Dark Guidance.
But you have to ritual sacrifice one of your models every turn.
Yeah, I have Cossite Woodsman, that's fine. Fuck, I will do it for no benefit if I can.
I will eat a mechanic alive if that's what it takes.
Yeah. Fuck, I'll do Iron Fang. I'll do Bombardiers if you let me. Bombardiers in the back just like shooting each other for no reason and then just killing them one at a time.
There should be another version of Vlad where he actually becomes a full vampire and he just feeds a point off of each one of his Tomb Reavers or each of his Mana Wars and then uses it to fuel some sort of like power that makes him awesome. Mm-hmm. I'd be all in on that.
Yeah. Vlad should just be able to target Jax and it would be fine. Why is it warrior models? Beast 09 would be legit.
Hey, he learned how to do it when he got on a horse. He decided to learn what Infernal Machine was and do that.
Vlad 1 can already do that. Just faster. Beast 09 goes further.
Yeah, but he doesn't get the +3 like armor defense. Also, why can Irusk 2 not bond Black Ivan? That's so not fair. That would be so perfect.
Yeah.
He'd be defense 14, immune to knockdown with dodge.
Because Black Ivan belongs to Hamkovich, and he technically gets a behemoth, kind of, just it fits in all of his theme forces, but it's not his Jack.
That guy doesn't eat up Jax at all. No characters there. No.
It's fine.
It's like the black hole of characters. And it's still bad. That's the best part. It's still bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like superioritying Black Ivan, though. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think oddly enough, I think we're of the same mind. I'm looking towards Convergence or Ret for my next stop.
I wouldn't play Ret. Their models suck.
Right.
I
they're not a real faction. Let's be honest.
But I need to pay somebody to paint mine.
Yeah.
What I sacrifice if I did Ret, what I'd sacrifice is caster strength because their caster strength is way down. Mm-hmm. But I think all of their infantry options are better. It feels like
they're more actual combined arms.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They actually do both units.
Yeah, their halberdiers are better than the pikemen. Their riflemen are better than our riflemen. I don't know. And the combat solos are arguably the same or a little bit better.
With stealth anymore.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is they actually got a fix for their biggest weakness. I mean, because Khador has so many amazing over-the-top buffs and strengths that I do feel that they're afraid to release something that fixes their problems because then they would be, borderline too good almost. Give props to Privateer Press because they obviously do lots of playtesting on this stuff.
Absolutely.
And then you could argue there's some mistakes like Morvana
like the Sacrovault.
I want to say yes, but
I need to see it played.
I want to see it on the
obviously.
table. I don't think it's going to be as over the top as everyone thinks it's going to be.
Most of the gargantuans.
No, the problem, Soulstorm is an issue. I don't think it should have Soulstorm. I think that's
going to be the biggest problem. Yeah. But we'll see.
Because
if that's on the table, literally, I don't know if Crix actually has a game against it.
Well, right, but I mean, if it changed, like if they play tested this like over and over and over again, and they're just going to start releasing things to say like you just don't take as much infantry as you used to, I'd be fine with that. But the problem is, I'm worried that it's going to move into there's too many things to cover, and you'll just have those rogues in big tournaments, and just like I'm just going to run Scar 1 and something else that's infinite dudes, and you're like, okay. And it's like, if you just draw that person, you're screwed because you can't cover everything. There's just too much stuff out there to fix the problems. And it just turns into a luck matchup game. I hope that doesn't happen, but I don't think it is.
I think if it gets to that point, that's when Mark III hits.
Yeah, and I know they don't want to do Mark III.
I would hope they don't. I don't really want them to do Mark III. I think the game is fine as it is. It's not overburdened or broken. And if they did a Mark III, they'd have to work out all the models again anyway, and it would be for so few fixes. It just doesn't seem worth all of the hoopla and balancing just to bring out a Mark III to fix very few things that need fixing. But
also there's been a lot of new rule innovations like Plasma Nimbus on the Modulator and on Striker 3, like that should be on Thunderhead. But it's not because they didn't come up with it until after Thunderhead was released. And stuff like that. So the only reason I want a Mark III to come back around is to rebalance the original stuff. And I think Denny 1 should come down a little bit. I think Lich is probably okay where he's at, but I still think he's strong. It's like you could fix stuff like Zerkova, which is obviously a miss something. Or like they play tested her, or like the Mountain King. They obviously nerfed him a little too much. Because if you literally, it's a reach heavy in Trolls that's a non-character, and people don't play it. That's bad.
That's got to mean something.
Yeah, there's a reason.
That's very telling.
Yeah, it's stuff like that. Like they could clearly just make a minor adjustment to. and release it, and it'd be fine. So basically all it would be is you buy an MK3 faction deck and maybe a book, and that'd be your only investment for the whole thing. But the problem is it would take so many man hours to play test and rewrite and produce books and cards that they never make that money back off. Because they don't...
not coming anytime soon.
Yeah, they don't overcharge on their books. Like, they really do keep their price... Like, if I want to play 40K, I have to buy two $50 books to play my army. And then, like, a deck of cards that's probably like another $20. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? It's $120 in paper before I can even buy models. It's just frustrating. And that's before you buy the rule book to the game.
Well, and with the advent of War Room, too, and if you buy in, you got an all, they can just change a Mark III and just push and upload into War Room, and you've got all the models, you got all the rules right there, too. So... And then release like a little pamphlet book that's basically all the new core rules if they've changed anything for command or charging or power attacks or any of that kind of crap. That's that. But then they can just rework all the models with a big errata. It's basically an errata. I mean,
it would basically just be a game-wide errata with a few tweaks.
Yeah.
Right.
But like I said, it's not anywhere near. It's the game.
The game is still
place.
strong.
It doesn't.
And
it's still selling well. People are still playing it.
One thing I will say, and that I talked a lot with a lot of people about this over the weekend, is how many times did you play the same caster this weekend against the same caster?
What do you... Oh, you mean did I play against
as an
them?
enemy? Like, I played Veil 2-3 times. So, like, for example, would be...
Oh, no, I played all sorts.
Yeah,
I played
you played all different casters. I didn't even... Like, there's the exception, like, Veil 2 is in a lot of pairings, but I didn't play the same caster one time, and I didn't see the same caster in a list pair except for maybe once, and that's only because I played Legion 4 times, and I saw Veil 2 in 2 lists. But that was it. I played against Saren, I played against Thagrosh, I played against Veil, I played against Denny 2, I played against Siege. Like, there's all these different casters, and I didn't see hardly any duplication. The only one I saw a bunch of, I think, was probably Veil 2.
Yeah, there's definitely a variety out there.
Oh, sorry. I did see multiple Denny 2s, but they were all playing Theme List. But, I mean, there's only like 3 Crix players there, other than Scott.
I won't buy that model.
Which model?
Dredges.
Oh, Dredges, yeah. Just get the new plastic ones and use them.
Yeah, I think Tom was experimenting with that.
Yeah. My favorite was still that. I left my other caster upstairs, so I just played Lich 1 in the finals of Masters.
Lich 1's good.
Yeah, it's just kind of how he rolls.
Yeah. Tom Juan gives 0 fucks.
Yeah.
If you can account for no mat fixing with Lich 1, then there's no problem he has otherwise.
He probably just likes blowing up units on bottom of 1. Well, I think we're probably dwindling to a close here. We've probably stretched
winding
this
down
out
a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, is there any kind of like parting thoughts or questions or?
Well, it's kind of that was the whole point of the episode is just get all the Khador out of my head, so I can think about other things. But
did we succeed in that, or was there something left in there?
Max was gone. He's shaking his head no, but he was gone, so we can't answer.
There's definitely some strong factions out there, obviously, right now that are really capitalizing on the way that the meta is kind of skewed right now, and they're going to continue to do well as long as it stays where it is. But I think the pendulum always swings back. So I'm just kind of waiting to see what the game does after this. Like, is everybody going to start taking all this armor cracking just to break down the mountains to stop having to see those and have people start taking the high def stuff again or the shooting again or whatever else?
The only thing that has me worried, like obviously the Meat Mountain on top, compiling warders on top of the bonuses that they already have in the faction.
Right.
Other than Crix, is there clear counters to that in every faction? Like, that's why people are complaining about it, right? Because you don't beat it with heavies. Like, heavies don't kill that.
It's because they don't trade up. They kill 1, maybe 2 if you position poorly.
Yeah.
And
right.
Like, maybe they'll get it, like, late game, they'll get into the champs or something, and they'll kill, like, 2 or 3 guys. But even then you usually just lose your heavy. So I don't know, like, what's going to be obvious that's going to, like, swing that on the other side. Like, maybe it'll just be mass weapon master spam again, and then you'll see the gun lines come back to deal with that.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of weird, like, not weird, but it's interesting to see how the game design. I mean, because obviously we were talking about the Colossals were definitely the advent of trying to get rid of all the high def infantry, and then they did that, and then everything swung a different direction. So then they fixed this, and it's not that a pendulum just swinging back and forth. It's a pendulum swinging 8 different directions.
Yeah.
Depending on is it high infantry or high def infantry? Okay, it's not that. Then it's maybe high armor infantry. It's not that. Then maybe it's a multitude of jacks and beasts on the table if they somehow make focus efficiency a little better. Then they swing it back so it's a pendulum almost swinging in a 360-degree line of sight. It's just interesting to see where it's going to swing next. And it's going to be probably away from something that's been a problem before and has recently been a problem, and it'll go to a whole new problem that people are going to have to deal with. And you'll just have to kind of foresee when that's going to happen and try to hop in and maybe take advantage and see if you can't win some games based on that. And hopefully you're playing the right faction that can ask the questions that the meta can't answer at that time.
I wonder if part of what we're seeing too is the big assassination push, because like right now versus like last year, there seems to be way more assassins running around.
I'd say with Gorshade 3 for sure.
Yeah, Gorshade 3 is clearly upped it. He probably would have regardless of what was going on. But you see Gorshade 3, there's, I think the Sorches are seeing a decent amount of play, but like Butcher 3 as well.
Morvana 2.
Morvana 2 can be a pretty good assassin as well.
Bringing back the Death Knell, I think Gallows Groves.
Yeah, I think Lilith 2 is starting to come back as well. Obviously, Vale has a strong assassination threat.
I haven't seen Lilith 2 in forever, and I'm definitely not saying I don't want to see her. But I think if people came back with Lilith 2, I think people could do really, really do well with her. If they got away from the Veils a little bit and just murdered stuff with Lilith, I think they could get a lot more work done than you would think.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a guy at our shop that's started into Legion probably about 6 months ago, and he's been playing a lot of Lilith 2 lately. And it's kind of tilting when your practice games are always against Lilith 2. You're like, I want to see how my list actually works. Play something else.
I don't see Lilith 2 at tournaments. Play somebody else.
I have not played against her in a tournament, but I have seen her in list pairs a lot lately.
Right.
But they just never drop her against me, which is unfortunate because I have so much practice against her.
Right. If I could play Legion right now, my 2-pair list would probably be Lilith 2, Absalonia 2.
That seems like a really strong pair. The guy at our store has a real problem with it because he does not understand how to position for melee because he plays a little too so much.
No.
So I was like, maybe you should play Saren for a little bit before you switch to Abby.
Learn your melee. And I would also try to play a little bit less Jake Van Meter-ish. I'd try to play maybe some more infantry. They've got some good infantry now. Let's try to give them a chance to make that infantry work.
Yeah, I think playing
I'm not saying
Callus,
I play Callus.
Yeah, well, I think Callus is strong, and people just don't count him. Vale 1 with bunches of infantry can work too.
Oh, I bet. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of options. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going next either, but I kind of want to take a little break from Khador and come back to it definitely when the Grolar is out. Also to see what other next releases they have and see if they're shifting Khador to be able to ask or answer some questions a little better than they're capable of right now.
I think because, well, for one, I've got all of my stuff is like kind of scattered around getting painted right now, and it's slowly trickling back in. I think for a while I'm going to play a couple different factions and just get the basics down for all the factions I own, and then pick one I like, and then just hammer it out like I did with Khador. Clearly, you should play Convergence, and then I can play Convergence too, and then we can continue playing the same faction.
Right.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah. Me and Brandon will always be playing the same factions, and then we can have this conversation in like 6 months' time about Convergence, and
so all Pharaoh
and
all
how
the time,
it's terrible, and then how it's terrible, and we'll move on to something else. And
let's just intentionally pick bad factions too. Hey, Pharaoh, you can play Carver, and I'll play Helga, and it'll just work out.
Oh God. You're not even going to let me play Helga? That's the good one.
All right, fine. You can play Helga.
You're a son of a bitch.
All right. I will be playing Convergence against you, though.
Oh, yeah, probably. And that's going to end badly for me. Alrighty. We good?
I think that we're going to call that a wrap. This has been Brandon, and I no longer play Khador.
Max.
Jeremy.
Lance and I also no longer play Khador, I guess.
Yay!
Peace!
Thank you for listening to Learn to Wargame. You can find us online at l2wg.com, Facebook, twitch.tv, YouTube, or Google+, and most importantly, l2wg.com for all of our content.
Should I be concerned? I just got a pop-up about...
Are you recording?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello?
Hello.
Hi, nice to hear your voice.
What's going on?
Nothing, we're just sitting here waiting on Max to get back.
Fantastic. What do we got in the room?
We got me and Jeremy right now.
Sweet.
So you can totally put faces to names, but you've forgotten us already, I'm sure, so...
Yeah, I don't even know what I'm doing here, but someone told me I was going to get paid, so...
Alright, yeah, Jeremy's going to get you
somebody
a check.
really lied to you there.
Max, then, is going to be getting you that check. Just look for Max.
You got it.
He might go nuts on you, by the way.
Why's that?
I don't know, something about you cheating in a game.
What?
Yeah, something Matt 8 Scrapjack or something, I don't know.
Something about what? Matt 8 Scrapjack?
Yeah.
When did I do that?
Oh, I'm just kidding. This is when we came up to the Mayhem the first time.
Yeah, because that was the first time I was playing Old Witch, and I think we had that conversation with Chad Schonkweiler afterwards, and we realized I was cheating. So that's fine. Yeah, he can blow up on me. It'd be good. It'd be good podcast material for sure.
So from the podcast, I know that you play Vlad 2 a lot, but every time I've seen you at a tournament, you've run Old Witch, which is just weird, I guess, because it's like all 3 times you've ever played her.
No, that's not true. I play her at game nights, practicing and stuff. Vlad 2 was kind of my early year
Your project
focus.
Guy. You're like, I'm going to make him good.
Yeah, and then kind of the more and more we dojoed it, the worse the meta kind of seemed for him. Like I would keep running into... He would just run out of steam.
Yeah, I just don't think he scales that well to 50 points.
He does not. 35. Every time I play a 35-point tournament, I put Vlad 2 as like my top guy every time, and he always crushes face. And at 50 points, he really has... I mean, again, he's fantastic, and he does a lot of cool things, but he just does not have that longevity I'm looking for in a 50-point game. And I had to kind of resign myself to the fact that wasn't going to work, and back myself off of it, and started to look at things we hadn't seen for a while, stuff that people weren't, quite teching for, and see if I could find a way to get some good wins in. And Old Witch kind of fit the bill for those.
Yeah, I found personally that my 15-point list pair commonly goes to Butcher 3 Karchev. I think that they just synergize.
Oh, yeah.
At 15 points, it's just like, you just kicked me in the junk, you ass. Like,
so I'm going to pick up all these jacks, and now they're all over here. So go ahead.
You got Nemo 1 over there. Yeah, that seems fine. Here's my Butcher 3. And I'm like, ah!
And then we're going to come from downtown and murder you around your 2 jacks that you have. Enjoy. Yeah. No, it's fun. Are we actually recording right now? Is this the actual podcast?
Well, this is kind of the pre-ramble.
Pre-ramble, sweet. Good, I was hoping we were just going to launch right into it. I'm like, I'm not ready. I'm not prepared.
That's usually like my go-to when we have someone on for the first time.
Good.
We'll get them on Skype. I'm like, all right, so what do you want to talk about? And I'll just sit there quiet. And they're like, It's amazing.
And we can be explicit, is that correct?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Fantastic.
Brandon, it's whatever the fuck you want.
But
yeah.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
This is PG.
Oh, we are.
I've been lying to
should
you.
totally be about.
Sorry, what'd you say, Lance?
Do you know what our pre-ramble should totally be about?
Oh, whatever we want.
High Noon Saloon.
High Noon Saloon. Did you really like that game?
I did. It was sweet.
It was fun. I liked, like, turn 1, I did like 12 damage to Jeremy, and he's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, you're drawing 9 cards, and you can make everything
9 cards OP. Yeah.
Super powerful, strong, extra damage to the dome.
Yeah. I was
just
like,
keep throwing cards down.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I can suck up 8 of that.
Yeah. Jeremy, I drew 7 cards that increase melee damage, and I'm on the balcony. Suck it.
Coming down, boosh. I just like the visuals that it inspires. Like, it's just an incredibly fun, like, fluff game to think about. It's like, well, this is this, school marm, and she's going to swing off of a chandelier and smash somebody in the head with a 2x4, and they're going to go flying through a window and are out for a round, and then they get shot 15 times.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, if anyone's ever played Bang and are curious what we're talking about, I think it's made by the same company.
I'm pretty sure it
is.
is.
It's Slugfest Games, and it's basically a small board game version of Bang that I got for free at Feast of Blades as a door prize.
Kind of? I think it's even different than Bang. I think
it is different. It adds the location mechanics, but gets rid of the weird, like, the roles.
Right.
Where you have, like, Sheriff, Deputy, Outlaw. Instead, you're just a free-for-all.
Gotcha.
It's a board game.
I'm looking at it online. Luckily, we're at the benefit to where I can have my computer in front of me. They're the people that make Red Dragon Inn.
That game is awesome.
That drinking game. So it's similar, but it does play a lot like Bang, and Bang's not even on their list.
They must not make it then. Who makes Bang, Jeremy?
That's what I'm going to look it up right now.
Yeah, I'm looking up right now.
Some foreign
Unfortunately,
company?
there's a nail salon in Lawrence.
Named Bang?
No, named High Noon Saloon.
Why would you name a nail salon that?
Apparently, it's also a brewery.
Okay.
Yeah, I know Bang's an Italian game because that's what it has, like all the Italian names under it.
Mm-hmm.
Where Italian for Bang is Bang, and then
oddly
Beero and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's Slugfest here.
Italian publisher Da Vinci Editress.
It must just
the
be
name
one
of
of those
the company that makes them.
One-hit wonders or something.
Mayfair publishes it over here.
Ah. So it is not the same company.
Bang is fun.
No.
Bang is fun. We should play High Noon Saloon sometime, Max. Lance really enjoyed it.
I think you dig it.
If you like Bang, I don't see how you could not like it.
So Scott should like it then, too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Excuse
Scott
me,
loved it.
Honky Toast.
Honky Toast.
Honky Toast. Oh, yeah, Honky Toast. Love it. I'm glad I got to meet that guy this last weekend. It was
Yes,
awesome.
Scott's fun, especially when he gets more than 3 hours of sleep. He was so strung out for the team tournament.
Oh.
You guys didn't win that?
No. Although Lance had
Did
this...
you play Khador Legion?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Our team name was Dragons Are Khadorable.
I thought you were going to go with Fox 4 News.
No, Lance vetoed that immediately.
I would have lit both of them on fire.
Well,
then,
that was his
like,
plan, was to do
Tumblr.
it without you knowing.
Yeah, my original plan was to come up with a different team name that you were okay with, and then go turn in our sheets and call us Fox News and write it real big with Sharpie on our sheets.
That'd be like, can Team Fox News get to the stand? I'm like, I don't know who that is. I don't know.
Well, guys, we're not on the board. Did we get paired? Yeah, we're on table
Did we
4.
get paired? No, that's Fox News. I mean, who are we, though? We're the Khadorable ones, right?
I'm pretty sure you would have just walked off, and we would have been without a third team member.
Yeah.
We were like,
That just means you have
still
to
have a
keep
team?
winning.
yeah, Tom, where's Tom? Someone go get Tom.
Yeah, where's Tom gone? Does he still need a team? Let's do this.
I think he passed out during that.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, well, he came down so he could play with Trevor and Scott, and then they slept in and I guess didn't come down, so he was just
Yeah.
like, I'm going back to bed.
That works. That works. Have you seen any of our... Did you see our Muse videos from the WTC they started posting?
I saw the first one go up, I didn't get a chance to watch it yet.
Yeah, that we've got, like, slick graphics and everything. I don't know what John and Nigel are doing over there, but they've got somebody on board doing some interesting digital stuff.
As a competitor, I prefer you not to do that.
It's not really a competitor when you're on their network.
Exactly. You're a supplementary
Yeah. So, Lance,
supplier of videos.
they're doing this new thing where they only show one of the other podcasts every week.
Yeah.
How many of my dollars do I need to give you for it to always be us? It's like $4.
You know, I would, if you wanted the honest answer, I'd probably say ask John, but since I can probably try to do something as in nothing and then just take your money, we can do that.
Okay.
So I would say all of the money.
Just trade them PG point models.
Hey, there you go.
Can I interest you in a Gorman to Seawolf?
Hey,
Actually, I
that's so
would.
mine.
That's not yours. It's still mine.
I hear PP will light you up if you give that to other people that aren't press gangers.
If they find out.
You're allowed to give it away as
Yeah.
a prize, but you cannot gain anything from
You can't
losing
sell
it.
it.
Yeah, you cannot give it away and gain anything from it.
Well, I'm going over to John's tomorrow to watch the Bengals and game. I can certainly mention something if there's a Gorman
No.
Seawolf in
No,
there.
no.
I'm all in on that. That guy looks sweet.
I prefer the regular Gorman. Personally, I mean, he's cool because
Yeah.
he's a different model that not very
Yeah.
many people have. But
Because I also have Pirates makes him that much cooler.
Yeah, I'm all about exclusive. And I want to make him up with a Fiona kind of feel to him, and then field him with a Fiona unit. It'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Make him all Thamorite and sweet.
We're still eating dinner, so it might be.
no,
a few
I'm
minutes.
good to go whenever.
Yeah, that's fine.
This isn't Muse we can eat on the podcast.
That's true.
It just sounds terrible. Jeremy, cut that out.
And we can swear. It's even better.
It's not that you have to swear, it's just good that you don't have to watch yourself.
Well, Lance, I just said that you can say whatever you want. I mean, we're going to email this to you later, and you're going to have to edit it.
Oh, man. It's just going to be one big raspberry. Like 3 hours. And just for the prank, I'm willing to waste that kind of time.
You wouldn't have to waste that much time. I feel like you could find that on YouTube
Yeah.
pretty
Well, I
easily.
can just copy and paste it in Audacity and just run it for
Right,
like
yeah.
3 hours and see how long people listen to it before they think somebody's going to talk. And then put a post on the forum saying, how long did you listen to this before you stopped? And then post a little poll at the top. It'd be great.
It'd be great if people are like 10 minutes and they're like, I wonder how long this goes, and they Google search it and they find the forum. They're like, oh, son of a bitch. Like, they just turn it off.
It's like, well, my iPod says it's 3 hours. I guess I'll just fast forward.
You just keep hitting that 15-second button. Like, God, this goes forever.
Perfect.
At the end, it's thank you for listening. And then it just cuts out.
No, at the end it's the Who scream and then cuts out to the theme. Or better yet, I'll just grab an old episode of Miami and just post it in there and say, this is your guys's, and then let you do the theme. That might be worth it.
So, Lance, have you thrown your Khador in the garbage yet?
No. I told you I ran one of your lists on Wednesday and it worked, much to my chagrin. I was like, God damn you, Brandon. Why is this good?
Hey, man, you just got to get into the super OP stuff. It's funny because when I first started playing Khador, I was so against anything that looked like cookie cutter Khador stuff. Like, I didn't even buy Winter Guard infantry until like a year into Khador.
I bought them early. I think I bought the army as like a lot from a local guy that was getting rid of the stuff, and I bought a bunch of things. And I got Winter Guard infantry, and I'm like, interesting. And then I played them one game and struggled so much to make them do the things I wanted them to do that I just put them on the shelf and didn't play them for about maybe 6 or 7 months of the beginning of my Khador career. Like, it takes so much time and practice. And then I had a couple buddies that were, playing Khador at the time, and they were saying, Khador, the Winter Guard infantry take you a long time to make them work. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't have that kind of time, so I'm not going to do that. And
I think the biggest problem is like the range 8. You just overcommit them so hard.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's so easy to get them engaged in melee, and they're just screwed. Like, not screwed, but
they're not super
if you get those guys in the melee, you're so much in trouble, and you don't want to shoot them. It's hard to shoot them free, and it's real easy to get all of them jammed up, and then you just feel like you wasted 14 points of an army that doesn't do anything.
Just need a snipe caster.
I don't think Khador's ever getting a snipe
Would
caster.
they be that broken? Is it only because they have arcing fire that they would never get it?
Well, it'd probably just be the Winter Guard infantry. Making them range 12 makes their threat range pretty silly. But I guess you couldn't get desperate
does, but I mean, it's good because it makes them hand cannons, but
you also have
there's other factions that have units that are POW 12 that have snipe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Rhett, for example.
Right, well, and that's a range 14 at that point, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would think... I'm trying to think of specifically where I would find it to be incredibly broken would be getting snipe on Behemoth during Peace Orchard.
And that's why that's my thing is that I think it's probably more of a function of arcing fire being on a lot of their pretty high powered guns.
Yeah, I mean the mortars would be 24 inches, meaning we could shoot AD models. We could get trying to think where else we could put that on, make it really gross. We got a fair amount of sprays too. I mean,
snipe doesn't affect sprays though.
Oh, that's right, it doesn't. I forgot about that.
Would be awesome.
I haven't thought about snipes interactions because
the more
I think it's arcing fire, and then just for fluff reasons, they'd probably never get it.
Probably.
Yeah, the more I think about it, I actually don't think it would be broken because the only things that have that are powerful with snipe are in very small.
Well, I mean, you think about they gave Scorn an arcing fire gun, but they made it the range that with snipe it will be tags. What a bombard is.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be basically 14.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, you can always play with mercenaries and take magnets.
Mm-hmm.
That would work.
I'm gonna snipe my Chaosies just to make you angry. It's range 4.5. I don't understand your problem.
Have you been still playing those, Lance?
Chaosi Assassins?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think they're good in the meta right now.
They are.
I don't think there's enough blast damage that deals with them currently.
Not anymore. There was for quite a while.
Yeah, there was, but now there's so much high armor that you don't see the blast damage anymore.
To be fair,
and not a lot of reach either.
Chaosies don't really punch through the armor either, so against the armor skew factions, they lose some of their power, but they're still annoying.
POW 12, and with the fact that we have access to things like, Fury and P-Butcher's feet turn and Sorsh's feet turn, and technically Sign's Importance for that matter, you can spike some of those damage rolls pretty well if you need to.
I one-shotted a Grim Angus with a single Chaosi Assassin one time.
Nice.
He couldn't kill all of them after I jammed him, and one had a back arc to Grim, so he's like, cast Fury on the back one, Butcher feet, one runs to engage, and then he charged in the back and just did like 24 damage and killed him. I was like, sweet.
And this is from my Vlad 2 project, but I've always had a special place in my heart for Manhunters. And I think those, even if I don't take Chaosi Assassins, and if I don't take Eliminators, which I usually take at least Eliminators, just because of acrobatics and everything like that, the ability to have the advanced deploy, stealth, Pathfinder models to run up to a wall and just wait for something to enter the midfield and just get, double axe murdered by Manhunters has been a lot of times a game-winning proposition for me. So I really like having those guys out there every once in a while.
Melee Weapon Masters are legit.
I used to take them with Sorsha too because of the feat.
Because they kill heavies by themselves.
They would just solo heavies. Yeah.
I think I had 2 of them in one of my Sorsha lists when I was practicing with her a little bit, and I think I took a Stalker off the table with. I had 2 of them, so I converged on him, hit him with the other 2, left him at 2 hit points, and then murdered him with the first shot of the second one. It's like, well, that was 4 points versus your 9. That seems like a good trade. Let's go. Let's keep going. And I really liked them in the Vlad 2, again, when for feet targeting situation, going up Mat 11, POW 14 weapon masters at speed 9, charging for 12 inches.
And then Butcher 2 too, as well.
Yeah, and then they're def 17, arm 17 with 5 boxes. It's like, not quite ready to handle that, at this point in the game as they're unpacking the piece still. So I always found them pretty good.
I think we'll actually probably go ahead and get started because I think we're starting to get some good topics as well.
Yeah, I kind of figured we already had, but that's
I mean, we'll count on Jeremy editing this in after the intro. He's just shaking his head. Like,
is there someone running a vacuum cleaner in the background?
That's my awesome laptop. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Shut that down.
Just turn the fan off. It'll be fine.
Get that powered with a jet turbine or something.
Set it on the floor.
If I turn off my web browser, it might actually cool down.
Your web browser?
Yeah. It's a shitty laptop.
He's got to do a lot of important research for this.
Well, I'm using it for.
Yeah, it's called porn.
Yeah, mostly. But
well, then let me do the same while we're talking.
Yeah.
I will not tell you what I'm doing while we're podcasting if you don't tell me what you're doing.
This is a don't ask, don't tell policy.
Lance, what do you think about that? I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
But whether or not you're doing it, I'm just going to assume you are.
I think that's just a fair thing that everybody should take.
All right, Jeremy, what episode are we on? 7?
15? 26?
I think it's like 16. 16?
It's 15 or 16, yeah.
I haven't finished 15, so.
Okay.
That's okay.
It's only been 2 weeks. Whatever.
When it comes on the feed, so I can grab it. I agree.
All right. Well, I think I've given literally everything I could.
I think we've done a yeoman's work now. Someone needs to cut this so it sounds coherent.
Yeah.
Instead of us rambling for 3 hours.
Well, that was a good post-ramble.
Post-ramble?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it definitely is like a 3-stage podcast. For us, it's usually the pre and post, and that's it. Or pre and the podcast. You guys have a 3-act podcast situation going on here. That's awesome.
Well, thanks for coming on. We do appreciate it.
Oh, sure, no problem, man. Anytime.
All right.
Let me know if you have any other questions, and I'll be around.
Yep. See you later.
All right, take it easy, gentlemen.
Bye.
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 How long ago did you stop recording?
It's still going.
Nice. We made it.
All right.
That was probably a bit drawn out.
Stop.